Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first objection docket dive. We are doing Drake versus UMG today with special guest at Pam Entertainment TV, Miss Pam. Hey, Pam, how you doing this evening? You ready to uh, sit down and get into the nitty gritty of this case?
We gonna go as deep as the law will allow.
As deep as the docket of lettuce without.
I
I don't got
know.
the
We'll go
pacer.
just
I don't got the pacer, so there was a couple of the exhibits that aren't there, and obviously I didn't pull up everything, just the most important stuff. But yeah, the docket is there for us to deep dive into. Hi, Kenny. Kenny's here to support. We got Christina on the mods, keeping everything cool. So um yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started with this docket. So Drake versus UMG. Um, I have Kendrick up on the thumbnail, but Kendrick is not, contrary to popular belief, because a lot of people think Kendrick is involved in the lawsuit. But he tried to sue Kendrick, and then he dropped that lawsuit, and then instead went for UMG. So he's probably going to be a witness, but he's not. This is literally Drake versus UMG over the song that Kendrick put out, "Not Like Us," and statements in that song that were defamatory, allegedly. Let me put up my little bar. Now that I'm talking about allegedly. For entertainment purposes, allegedly, like for real. Don't sue me, okay? Just don't. It's like a thing now. All the content create Lil Tay is suing content creators. Um, the Demore Hadley situation, all that, they're going after content creators. It's like it ain't safe out here for us right now.
yeah, because people and it's like that David and Goliath. They pick on the little person because they I don't know exactly, but yes, you do not go back. This is the best recourse because this is craziness.
Yep. And all the content creators are fighting for their rights. Exactly. Like it is just so crazy. And Miss Pam has double disclaimers on her shows. She got the ticker. She got the image file. She's dotting her i's and crossing her t's. She ain't about to
Oh
get caught
yeah,
up in nothing.
nothing.
Um, okay, so let me go ahead and pull up our very first docket here as we start going. Here we go. Okay, so that is the court listener docket. I did here, I put this in the description for you guys. For those who are legal nerds like us, the docket is in the description. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the amended complaint, which I didn't go with the original complaint because this is basically what we're going off of is his amended complaint. And I believe he only did one amended one. We haven't gotten to a second amended complaint. I'm following Lively and Baldoni, and they're now at a second amendment complaint. So
Mm.
I'm thinking this is going to be it for them because they're already through the discovery process and all that. So it
And
goes. Go ahead.
I was saying, speaking of that case, because it had gotten to be so much, but I didn't really pull out, but I just really stopped reporting on it. But I came back about maybe like a couple of weeks ago, and it seemed like every content creator I followed had a subpoena.
Yeah, everyone, a lot of my friends, because we're like in a really tight community, a lot of my friends were subpoenaed. And so it was like we were in the chats, like, oh my gosh, what happened? And I don't know. I missed the subpoena gate. I know a lot of people were like, I wish I got subpoenaed. But by the power of God, they missed me. I was like, I'm Bennett and I ain't in it. So that was
That's
good.
all
Um,
right. Let's.
so this is the table of contents. Hey, Laura. This is a table of contents here of the amended complaint. Drake is an international recognized as a multi-talented rap superstar. And this is Gottlieb too. I know that Isabel Ferrer in the Baldoni Lively filings, she has her own attorney, but they also use. We have a feeling that they may have collabed allegedly with Blake's attorney, or they have connections with Ryan Reynolds and all that. But he also referred to Isabel Ferreira as like multi-talented, and when they filed Blake's stuff, also multi-talented. It's like, okay, multi-talented rap superstar. So okay. Um, UMG is a music industry giant. UMG and Drake have a long partnership. UMG has licensing and publishing rights over Kendrick Lamar. UMG publishes the defamatory material. UMG publishes the recording and begins to defame Drake. The defamatory material is false. People believe and repeat the allegations in the recording and image. Drake is the target of violence almost immediately. So these two things I have a problem with because, for one, people believe and repeat the allegations in the recording. We talked about this last time, me and you, about how there was already allegations. You remember?
Hmm.
When you were in the chat, there was already allegations about Millie Bobby Brown, and like the chatter started way before the song. I mean, how far back do you think it goes? A while,
Uh,
right?
it goes back further because I don't know if they're going to mention it or not with the information because it's my understanding that he settled some case for like $500,000 in regards to some impropriety somewhere. Don't know what it is because it just fell off. I know Kendrick mentioned it in a song, but it goes back deep. I mean, not like what is it 2025, people were rumbling about it in 2016, 2017ish.
Exactly. So that's the thing for me. It's like, oh, I'm getting defamed by this because it's in a song and because the song went viral. But I mean, there was articles, lines being written about how he attended girls' basketball games and things like that. So it's like
Yeah.
that one bothers me. And then D also bothers me. Drake is the target of violence almost immediately. First of all, he's a rapper. He's a famous person. How many times have we not seen Taylor Swift's house get broken into and, violent stuff going on with her? I know Nicki Minaj and Takashi 6ix9ine experienced some like crazy, gun thing when they
Right.
were shooting a music video. So it's like, how do you correlate this violence to Kendrick? You know what I mean?
And also you also have to look at too that Drake OVO is in some kind of beef with the weekend and the weekend's label. And the week before Drake's home got violated, in the exact same way is the weekend's manager's home got violated. It's the
Mhm.
same scenario. So
Was it a
I don't know how.
coffin they sent or something? What was that? I remember it was like they put a coffin out there or something. Like it's some crazy crap like that.
Oh,
I
I don't
forget
know
what
about
it
that.
was.
I just know that the weekend's manager home, somebody pew pewed it, and they had hit the security guard. And then a week later, because like I said, we were in this beef. About a week and a half later, the same thing happens at Drake's home.
Mhm. So
The same time.
exactly, how do you what's correlation doesn't equal causation? That's what they say.
Yeah.
So those two I have a problem with. Drake publicly denies the defamatory material. UMG continues to defame Drake by publishing the "Not Like Us" music video. The video causes more people to believe the allegations against Drake. UMG published the defamatory material with knowledge of a reckless disregard for its falsity and knowledge that it was reasonably foreseeable to cause Drake harm. But this is where I feel like it goes like south for me also because for him to say that Drake's song, that or Kendrick's song was defamatory, it would have to work both ways. Because if Kendrick is saying that the stuff in Drake's song is lies, then wouldn't that also be defamatory? So now they're trying to prove, I guess, through the discovery that Drake wasn't lying. Remember in our last episode, when you were in the chat, we were talking about David Free. Is that his name?
Dave
Uh,
Free. Hmm.
yeah, Dave Free, who's he's Kendrick's childhood friend, who also is the A&R guy. And Drake's mentioned that he was the father of Drake, were not one of Kendrick's kids, and so they're trying to get information from him in regards to Kendrick's kids. So apparently he's doing that through discovery, but UMG engages in a publicity campaign to ensure maximum spread of the defamatory material. So that's through social media. Um, it uses its ownership interest, granted licenses to promote it, covert means to deceive consumers, basically saying like they were paying like bots and things like that. UMG took other unprecedented steps. So this is where the smear campaign allegations come in, other unprecedented steps. And that's the thing that's so weird now that celebrities don't believe that stuff is just organic. I guess because of the, fake internet theory and all that, like the bots have just taken a life of its own now.
And they don't believe it because they don't believe in it. The way the music business is set up now is because they're manipulating it all. They're each one of these record labels, and like I said, these are my opinions. I don't know it for fact, but I believe that each one of these record labels have teams to figure out how to manipulate certain things. Because the one thing I do know is, like with Nicki Minaj, she was very upset with Travis Scott, that booted her off the number one seat because he started selling bundles. They'll put a T-shirt with the thing, and then a corporation will buy the T-shirt and the CD, and that'll inflate the numbers like a hundred. Like a corporation, let's say like Kellogg's, would buy like 100,000 copies of the album along with this T-shirt, and then give them out to whoever's buying Kellogg's. Now, this is just me making something up, but
Yeah.
that inflates the numbers because it looks like his first week of sales, he sold 100,000 organically, and you didn't. You sold it to a company.
Yeah. So that is so crazy. Okay, so let's continue with I wanted to put this a comment. I'm glad you got Pam Entertainment TV. I found her through Diddy Trial. You getting your flowers over here. She is awesome. So yes,
Hello,
I'm,
hello.
I'm glad I got her on too. I've been trying to get her on one of the shows. We did an after hours once with Tina from is
Hmm.
it Legally Locked? Yeah, and that was
Yes.
pretty fun. On the Fat Joe trial and Tyler Perry. So y'all go
Mm.
check that out. It's in my videos. It's when I was attempting to do the really late night streams, and then I was like, I can't go super late night. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into um, okay, so then it was UMG deceived the public and caused Drake harm. First claim is defamation per se. Second claim is harassment in the second degree. And third claim is violation of the New York general business law. So there's three claims. Defamation, you know, I don't know. I don't know about the defamation. Harassment in the second degree, I mean, it's a rap song, like this is the whining that I feel like. And then violation of the New York general business law, this goes towards that UMG didn't have his best interest because they're also represented. UMG represents both of Kendrick and Drake's labels. And so he's basically saying like they had a fiduciary duty to him. And so that's where that comes in. This is where Michael Gottlieb, like he does Blake's docs too. And they started it off like that too with the story about um it was, they were in a penthouse one day, and Baldoni was there because of his inappropriate behavior, and that's when Blake gave him this 30-point list. And then so it makes you read this thinking like, oh my gosh, this is like kind of horrible or whatever. And then later you find out that this 30-point list was never even signed by Baldoni, but they make you think it's the same as the one that his business partner signed, which was a 17-point one that had nothing to
Right.
do with nothing. It was more of like a safety thing. But the way that they like start off with the like these quotes, I haven't seen filings like that. Like it's over the top to me. Like I get it, it's a battle of the pens, and Brian Friedman did it really really well. He represents Justin Baldoni, but I can
Yeah.
tell that this is Gottlieb from how he writes, because he's trying to get you like emotional in the beginning, right? So he says a single lie can destroy a reputation of integrity, and while it takes years to build a reputation, it can be ruined in 5 minutes. And this is a quote from Lucien Grange. Is it Grange? Grange?
Uh-huh.
Chief
It's Lucien Grange.
Lucien Grange. Oh, Lucien. Oh, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Lucien Grange.
Mm-hmm.
Grange. Yeah. Chief Executive Officer of UMG, March 25th, 2024. And then he's like, in the middle of the night, an armed group of assailants drove up to the Toronto house. The car stopped and said, fuck Drake. During the nearly 30 minutes it took for an ambulance to arrive after the security guard gets wounded, Drake and others labored to keep the man alive. So it's like, it's our blood was everywhere. Like, okay, this is an amended complaint for defamation. Like, what am I reading? Like, is this like Stephen King? Like,
Mm.
when I first started reading this, because I started to do the deep dive, and I was like, it is the same playbook. I can tell that Gottlieb wrote this.
Yeah.
Um, After the
And you
security
know what?
guard. Go ahead.
I wanted to just stop right here
Yeah.
because the initial complaint when he wrote it, he cut out everything about the rap beef. He just wrote the thing like this happened right after Kendrick did that song, and that song was like done in isolation. He didn't even talk about the rap beef. And so I was when I read it the initial, I was like, wow, this man is this is almost delusional to make up this story, even though these things happen. But to make it seem like it only happened because Not Like Us came out, and I was like, if you'd have heard Meet the Grams, that would have been worse. But okay, let's continue.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's like the arguments can't go both ways. And I know I keep bringing up, this is the Drake UMG docket. I keep bringing up Baldoni Lively, but it just reminds me so much because the same stuff that she talks about him, it's almost like projection. It's like stuff that she does.
Hmm.
So it's like rules for thee, but not for me. And that's what it
Right,
seems like here. So then the security guard arrives at the hospital. Surgeons work on him. The very next day, a different intruder uses his bare hands to dig a hole under the security fence. Like, this is too much. It's like you can literally picture this man like with his bare hands. I mean, it's good to create a picture in your mind, but in my head, I'm like, okay. On May 9th, the very next day, another break-in attempt. In 2 decades leading up to May, although Drake was constantly in the public eye, nothing remotely like these events had ever happened to him or his family. But these events were not coincidental. They immediately followed and were approximately caused by UMG's actions leading up to and on May 4th. But like you said, how does it explain what happened at the Weeknd's house and all that stuff? Um, UMG is the world's largest music company and also the music company that has represented Drake for more than a decade. Yet on May 4th, UMG approved, published, and launched a campaign to create a viral hit out of a rap track that falsely accuses Drake of being a PDF file and calls for violent retribution. So they're painting the fact that they were literally just doing their job. What's the job of the label? To create a marketing campaign, right? And
right,
to put out a hit song. So
correct.
so that's not a crime.
Mm-mm.
Because it falsely accused Drake. But what about when they put out your song where you were saying falsities about Kendrick?
That doesn't matter. You. It doesn't matter what I do. It is what's done to me that matters.
Exactly. And that's how Gottlieb. I did kind of like some of the stuff. Like I liked a little bit of when they had the hearing. Like there was like one or two things that I found like compelling that he was like good lawyering. But then I was like, it gave me the ick because I was like, oh, I don't want to like him. But it was good lawyering. Like I had to give him his kudos. But other than that, like 90% of the stuff that he does, like is just whiny, and I don't like him as a lawyer at all. Like at all. And we're
Mm.
going to get into who the players are and who the lawyers are on each side. So the song in question is Not Like Us. As we know, the recording was intended to convey the specific, unmistakable, and false allegation that Drake is a criminal, PDF file, and to suggest vigilante justice as a response. Okay, vigilante justice, all the other songs in the rap beef, I mean, Drake was talking about vigilante justice too. That's literally rap beef. It's, talking about how you're going to do this and posturing, right?
You're right.
They literally repeatedly accuse him of criminal acts. They called him a certified PDF file, a predator, who needs to be placed on neighborhood watch. And they depicted Drake's actual Toronto house covered in the icons that are used for, SA predators and all that stuff. Like when you're looking
Mm.
them up online to
Right.
see who's around you and stuff. And then he used just opposing the game of hopscotch with lyrics accusing Drake of trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor. And I mean, there's like so many people that sing this, like all the way from grandmas to like little kids. So
Keep
it was
keep
just,
talk, keep talking. I got to run and get a band-aid. I cut
yeah, no
myself real
worries.
quick.
Um, so let's pause and look at the chat and see what's going on. Oh, ATT is here. Hi. Thanks for stopping by. Um, Okay, so yeah, let's just continue with this one. Um, so UMG wages a campaign to spread this, obviously just doing their job. UMG's campaign was successful. Billions of plays and ubiquity were not enough for UMG. Long after UMG knew about this harm and had the understanding that it was harming Drake, um, they decided to make significant financial investments and leverage its professional connections via sophisticated and highly organized publicity campaigns to arrange for him to be for the recording to be performed at the Super Bowl. And so now they're saying like, oh, that's a crime too, because they were giving their client publicity through, getting him a job. This is what they do. They're performers. UMG is legally responsible for the release, publication, and promotion of the defamatory material, including the foreseeable consequences of the same. UMG's campaign went well beyond the traditional music company playbook. They unleashed every weapon in its arsenal, including on information and beliefs certain practices that are unlawful. And then this is where they name drop Sir Lucian Grange. He remarked that it's even harder for artists to break through the noise, as for example, 60,000 songs are added to Spotify every day. Yet UMG made sure that Not Like Us broke through that noise. The thing that people don't understand, if you know hip hop, is the beats and stuff. Like, isn't that like that song is so unique when it comes to like the production of it, the beats, how it stops, the lyrical, the what is it called, the cadence that he uses. So why couldn't that be why it's popular? You know what I mean? Okay, on information and belief, UMG and its agents further put a thumb on the scale by covertly offering financial incentives to third parties to deceptively stream it. So this is where they're talking about the payola and the bots. So they believed it. UMG's greed yielded real world consequences as described above. It was just 3 days after they originally published the recording and image that Drake was targeted at his Toronto home in the 2024 equivalent of Pizzagate. So now they're like really reaching here. Like it was people trying to get vigilante justice. Um, the online, and mind you, he's had other beefs. He's beefed with Pusha T. He's beefed with Meek Mill. Like, how do we know that this wasn't someone else that was beefing with him, or that with Ye, right? Um,
Right. And you got to figure out too that he was his former label was beefing with Pharrell at one time.
so there you go. It's like he had a lot of enemies. So I mean, maybe the timing is a little sus. Um, but who knows? And I'm just like, at this point, I wouldn't I wouldn't put past, allegedly, obviously, that he created his own break in, quote unquote. Like, we don't know. Like, he was trying to go after something, you know.
It's
So
too
I'm not putting
similar.
that off the table. I'm not putting that off the table. That it
That
could have.
that's too yeah, it's too similar to me because I mean, when I tell you when you read up, if you go back and you read what happened at the weekend's manager's home in Los Angeles, the way that they set it up and how it happened, it sounds eerily similar to what happened at Drake's home.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna have to look into that one because I had no idea that that happened. But um, so that's another thing, that it happened to somebody else around the same time who had no beef with Kendrick. So social media users called for the FBI to come at this point and for Drake to be locked up and behind bars. Um, and so this is some of the flyers that were made. Canadian predators got to stick together. It was Jack Densmore. I don't even know who this guy is. He must be Canadian and
Yeah.
caught a case or something. But and then Meet Your Neighbors, Mr. Jack. So that's about him. But yeah, so he's putting up these flyers. It says the violence and vitriol was foreseeable. They should have known, but was it really foreseeable? Because he was accusing Kendrick of beating his wife and all kinds of other stuff, and was that foreseeable that people would go after him for the violent stuff?
Well, yeah,
Um,
and how would anybody know something's foreseeable when you ask them you ask them to use that particular angle, and they use that angle knowing that there has been stuff in the in the community, videos and folks doing interviews that talk about you being 30 years old and texting a 14 or 15-year-old. That looks suspect.
mhm. It does. It sure does. And then he tries to name drop And this is like so low. Like, you know what he's doing here. He's trying to bring it to the judge that, UMG knows false allegations because Lucian was accused, in his words, without the slightest factual basis of aiding and abetting Sean Diddy Combs in criminal sex acts. So, he's name dropping that so that the court is aware, like, oh, he was told, like, it's not because, oh, they know what defamation is. This is the battle of the pens. Like, he literally was
Right.
putting that in front of the courts to paint a certain picture of UMG and Lucian. Um,
Right.
they argued that the accusations were offensive and criminal behavior, that they were libelous per se, and that's where they get the quote, a single lie. So they recognize that false allegations can interfere with his efforts. But see, false allegations in the public eye versus false allegations in a rap beef, because, like, if you watch 8 Mile or anything, it's like, it's common, so common to just either spew stuff that you have heard, rumors about that person, or stuff that is factually true, like what they're wearing, or things like, mostly it's like things you've heard and stuff. That's what rap battles. That's the basis of a rap
That's
battle.
the basis. It is the basis of it. And you participated in it. I mean, everybody is they're hurling insults or whatever at each other. And so you can't sit up here, and we hadn't gotten to it yet, but it was put beautifully. Two people standing out in the middle of the public shouting insults at each other, and then one of them waits 30 days and says, you know what, that insult that you hurled at me defamed me, regardless of what was said, everything else, I'm going to sue you for that particular insult, even though I told you to throw that insult at me, I'm going to
Well,
sue you
yeah,
for
and
it.
that's another thing too. He does. He says it. He's like, he tries to 8 Mile himself. He's like, let me just do your work for you. What you're gonna say? I'm a whatever. Like, is this what you're gonna say about me? And then when Kendrick said it, then it's
And you didn't
defamatory.
like, yeah, you didn't like the way he said it, you didn't like the words that he used to say it. But I'll get into that later. I'll
Um, yeah, I think it's gonna come up when we get to the rap beef part when we're talking about the songs. But it says he went to UMG and he begged for help. He's like, please help me, and they were like, we're not gonna help you. Basically, is what he's saying. UMG tripled and quadrupled down on this defamation for profit strategy. And here's the thing: defamation for profit. Didn't your song profit just because it didn't go viral? Like, that's the thing, it's my Roman Empire. But anyways, many months prior, Drake attempted to address it privately with UMG, and per Lucian Grange, that UMG's leadership should be held accountable for the decisions, is what he said. They purport to care about threatening and abusive behavior. Indeed, they have a code of conduct that notes this. Yet in response to the concerns, they responded that Drake would face humiliation if he brought legal action. Like, all right, go ahead, bring legal action, and presume that the public would be unable to understand UMG's role in exploiting and profiting. UMG's posture as the world's largest music company was that it is untouchable. UMG's response to Drake was especially perverse, given that it is perfectly willing to sue to protect its own interest when it believes that doing so will protect its own property. So, with his own record label having waged a campaign against him and refusing to address this as a business matter, Drake has been left with no choice but to seek legal redress against UMG. They have attempted to spin this complaint as a rap beef gone legal. Is it spin, or is that what that says? Is it a rap
rap,
beef gone legal? Because, I mean, that's the title. I think I put it in the title. Rap beef gone legal. Um,
yeah, I
this
mean,
this lawsuit is not about a war of words between artists. Okay. I mean, the song is there, so okay, but let's just go. This lawsuit involves no claims against Kendrick Lamar or any other artist. Instead, it's about UMG. So he's saying, like, it's not Kendrick's fault. It was UMG for using him as a pawn um to gain profit. And for me, remember I was telling you before we got on the stream, I'd be flip-flopping. This is
mm-hmm,
what was compelling to me when I was on Drake's side, because I do believe that in some way, like Tupac and Biggie and stuff, that the labels do encourage kind of like this, like, beef type of stuff, because it does make money. I mean, it's people like to watch it. People love beefs, ever since the beginning, like when rap beefs first started. So in my head, I was like, oh well, that's compelling, because it seems like they would try to like make it bigger and like try and pit people against each other to give this perception, just like there would be some rappers that were, and Drake might be one of them, that were like super, clean and like, I mean, and maybe even Ye, when he first started with his little sweaters and stuff, and then eventually they turn into like kind of mafia style, like I did this. Rick Ross, they say, does that a lot, right? But it's like
Hmm.
an image, and the labels make money off of that image, right? So
Correct.
um, that's where I was kind of team Kendrick in that little tiny part for a bit, but to prove that, I don't know. Um, it says it's about UMG and its malicious decision to publish and promote through both overt and covert means false allegations about Drake that UMG knew were false, explosive, inflammatory, and certainly result in both vitriol and substantial harm to his reputation. So they've had a relationship, Drake and UMG, for more than a decade. And then they intentionally sought to turn Drake into a pariah and a target for harassment or worse. They did so because it believes any of these false claims, not because it believes any of these false claims to be true, but instead because it could profit from damaging Drake's reputation. Drake brings this action to hold UMG responsible for the actual and foreseeable harm that he has suffered and will continue to suffer because of UMG's choice to elevate profits over the well being of its artists. So that's going to be the amended complaint. Obviously, it goes longer. And this is what I hate about Gottlieb. It's 107 pages, y'all. Like, same thing with the Blake Lively one. And then you see the other people's filings and it's way shorter. Given it's a response, but it's like, that's 107 pages. So I'm not going to go through it all. You guys have the link to the docket if you wanted to go through it all. But yeah, see, it keeps going and going and going. It's even like
Mm.
glitching so yeah, and I'm only like on 50 pages in, but it features a bunch of exhibits and stuff like that, little pictures inside. So here's the picture of the cover for the album that we were talking about that had the like kind of like the predator list or whatever, like when you look them up on
Mhm.
Drake's house. So he's, put some exhibits within the filing. And then
And
obviously
he's so and he can be sometimes so disingenuous because he used that and said that oh, they displayed his home and everyone knew where he was, but everyone in Toronto knows where he lives because his home is ostentatiously large in the community that he lives in. He's done several different interviews and lifestyle of the rich and famous type interviews about his home and where his home was in Toronto. So, but anyway, I'll
Yeah,
just
and here exactly. So that's it. Like that's what I'm saying. He was famous. When I know we were talking about this a little bit, it's like you're a famous person. How many times has Taylor Swift's house gotten broken into? Kim K had somebody. She didn't have no rap beef, and they were just going after her jewels. It's like you're a high
right.
profile celebrity. That's on your security, homie. That like, I mean, I don't know. Like there should have been more precautions, I guess, and I just don't feel like you can correlate that exactly like that it was exactly for that reason and then them saying that it was Pizzagate. It's like that's going a little too far. And then here they quote it, and Michael Gottlieb again, he did this exact thing with and now that I'm getting into more cases and I'm reading other filings, I don't see that
Hmm.
from other people where they bring in content creators and well the Demore one they did. But like this is just normal people and this is like, oh, this is what people are starting to say about Drake. Like every time I think of Aubrey, now I just sing, certified PDF file. Drake may or may not recover this, but this way shit's never going to be the same for him after this song. And it's like they're including like just regular people, like Johnny user Johnny Rivers 2619. But there was someone that said that they were DFJ, I think, said she was in the ASAP Rocky filing. So I guess it's becoming a thing. Maybe I'm just new to this, but name dropping all these users and then they go and they get bullied and harassed.
Right,
So
right.
it just creates so basically yeah, it just keeps going to 107 pages and there he is, Mr. Michael J. Gottlieb, and his like crazy Stephen King style writing, like so ominous. It was like there's so much blood they couldn't stop it. He went into surgery. So that's that one. We're gonna get into this exhibit, which is the Not Like Us lyrics. They're also in the court docs, and I probably should have. After I'm done, I'm gonna just put this exact exhibit in the description because I feel like this is what the song, is about. I'm not gonna read all of the lyrics, but he
And this is
basically,
This
try
is
to.
boggling. This is boggling my mind that rap lyrics are part of a court case. This is boggling my
I
mind.
know, and that's why I love it. We're gonna send people over, and it's linked in the description for them to do the live reading of the transcript when they had a hearing over the motion to dismiss. And how the judge. How did you feel when you read that part where the judge is like, "I feel like I should take the whole rap battle into consideration."
You heard. I
Was you
was
cackling?
tickled. I was tickled. I was like, yeah, okay. Let me find out that the judge was listening to the rap battle all along before she got off the stand.
No, and the way Gottlieb was like, "No, no, no, like you don't." And she's like,
Don't
"No, I need to take
no,
whatever's in front of me."
exactly. I need to hear the context because you're not giving me the context. And he was like, no, 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 no. You're just not supposed to even. He was like, no, don't do I can just see his hands like, no, judge, no, don't do that. Just stick to this.
Right?
Just stick to this song. Don't go to any other
Don't go to
song.
Taylor May freestyle because I think that's the one
But
that.
she brought it up. She's the one that brought it up.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, she said, I can't remember verbatim, but she was like, but didn't he mention that in Taylor May freestyle? And I just like,
It was one of the best hearings ever. The
oh.
description for Pam's live reading is, I mean, the link is in the description for her live reading, but we are going to go over a little bit of it here. But I really want to get you on an episode with the New Romantics.
Mm-hmm,
Basically, the New Romantics are what they call this group of musical artists and film movie stars that are through their music, like basically like telling us what's going on with the music industry and stuff. And so some
mm-hmm,
people believe Drake is part of that or whatever, and some people say Kendrick is part of that. So it's like weird. There's different theories, right? But it also inside those theories is subliminals, and it's like not only do artists use their art to tell us about what's going on in the broader sense of the world, but they also use subliminals to talk to each other, and we know that from like Drake, Kiki, do you love me, whatever, right?
mm-hmm,
um that we allegedly is about Kim K. And then you remember Ye used like the nude bodies as like artistry or whatever. um and that was kind of a play on like you have to be in bed with someone to get far and all this stuff. So um the subliminals are what gets me, because like in this lyrics, like they know stuff that we don't know about each other. Like he's like, you effed on Wayne's girl. I'm assuming that's Little Wayne's girl while he was in jail. That's
mm-hmm,
conniving. Then get his
mm-hmm.
face tatted like a beat apologizing. I'm glad D-Ross came home. Y'all didn't deserve him neither. From Alondra down to Central, they better not speak on Serena. And so like we're like, who's Alondra? Who's Serena? It's like everybody's analyzing these lyrics and stuff, and they're going,
Alondra, it says from Alondra down to Central. That is a street on
okay,
in Compton, and that's where she used to, the basketball
Serena
courts.
Williams,
I mean the tennis
tennis
courts
court,
where she used to. Hmm?
the tennis courts where Serena Williams played.
Yes, that's
Ooh,
that's
that's a good
that
lyric.
is yeah. That is where she used to play.
And this is a
Uh,
subliminal because they used to date, right? Or they were like talking or flirting
correct,
at one point.
correct.
Um, and that your homeboy needs a subpoena, that predator moves in flocks. So this is talking about one of his friends who is a fact that he did get does have like, SA or whatever against him. That one is actual factual because there's court docs. That
Mm-hmm.
name got to be registered and placed on neighborhood watch. And so it just goes, like, it's all eyes on me, and I'm sending it up to Pac. So he's like, Pac is going to help me through this beef. Um,
And,
and
and
I
all
think
eyes on
everybody
me
loved
is
it.
a song or an album that Pac did too.
Yeah, so I love like, and this is why the song was so popular, because it had so many like subliminals in it, for like, people who like to analyze lyrics and stuff. And then also it had a lot of like West Coast feel, like a lot of throwbacks to the West Coast, like you said, Alondra down in
Mm-hmm.
Central. So a lot of the West Coast rap became popular because it was about the city and the people and the rap beefs. I mean, this is how, NWA got popular and all these other people got popular. So I think this is why it went viral. It was like nostalgic. And even the beat,
Yeah.
like the
Mm-hmm.
dun, 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 dun.
And
Um,
and and also too, this song is really popular. And even if you go back to Euphoria, uh, if you grew up in rap music like I grew up in rap music, this was the best part of rap music, going through the lyrics and analyzing what he's saying. And then to take that when Drake came into not when Drake, it was probably a little bit before Drake came in. When these new groups of rappers where everything is like a machine, they'll just throw these lyrics in here together. Nothing really means anything. It's just really everybody is hyped up on the beat, not necessarily the lyrics. But if
Hmm.
you are a real hip hop head, the lyrics matter. And so to go back through here and to read this and to see what somebody else said about something, or it was and plus Kendrick did these songs on the fly. He had the beats, but these songs were on the fly simply because, like when he talked about right up here, like double down, calling us some slaves.
Hmm.
That is in direct correlation to a couple of songs that Drake did during the beef. So he
Hmm.
wrote this stuff
As it was
on the
happening.
fly.
Mhm.
Yes.
And that's the same thing with the Pusha T and Drake beef. They were going back and forth on the fly. It was like one of them would go back, then the other one, and then like people would start talking crap if it was like 2 or 3 days. Like, "Hey Drake, what? You scared? You're not going to reply?" And then he would reply, and that's when we got the Drake and blackface and all that stuff. I mean, there was some
Yeah.
serious allegations in that one too. So that's what I don't understand. How all of a sudden, I don't know if it's just the PDF file just like triggered something in him, but you know what they say about people being triggered, like, there's always some kind of half
You
truth to it.
Yes, because as long as it appeared, because you remember they fashioned themselves as certified lover boys. So as long as that behavior, even though it was weird, wasn't fashioned with the word PDF file, he was fine with it. But see, it made him certified lover boy, made him seem like a suave, debonair man that could get the ladies. He's a ladies' man, but all the while you're doing you have evidence, you have stuff out here in the community that's showing you around women under 18-year-old girls, teenagers. I'm gonna call them teenagers.
Young girls.
Under young girls. You're out here with you're having stuff out here with young girls. But as long as he's called certified lover boy, it gives a certain thing. But as soon as you use the word that identifies with, well, the word that is popular to the community that identifies the deviance of what you're doing, now you got a problem because everybody's looking at you funny. And yeah, you're right. He got triggered, but I think that was the mindset, and you'd have to, as long as as long as people are talking about it in the vein of, oh, you're just man, you get a lot of women and all this other stuff. You got the girls coming at you and everything. That's cool. Everybody is okay. But once you start using the words and the terminology that identifies exactly what that stuff that you're doing, now everybody has a problem and they don't want to be associated with it. Well, I'm sorry, but if you're out here texting a 15-year-old talking about you're her big brother, you're
And let me give you
30.
some dating advice. Like, I don't know, that's a little sus.
That's weird. No, there is no parent that's going to think that that's okay. You see what I'm saying? That's not
Mhm.
okay. A 30-year-old man texting my 14-year-old and giving advice, and you're calling that person on the phone. That's not okay.
And then
A
didn't he say
decent
they were best
man,
friends? Like
a
that's my
decent
best
man wouldn't put himself in a situation like that. But again, as long as he looks like the certified lover boy, he's okay. But I'm sorry. That was just my little breaking point.
No, yeah, no, like I like that, Rand. You're like, I mean, it's true. It is true. I mean, and that's what I love about listening to your channel because you always, I'm like, Miss Pam is wise. You always come with it like from like a fact based point, like, like put yourself in the real world. Like if there was a 30-year-old grown man, and this is when we were discussing like the Fat Joe stuff, with the girl and the
Mm-hmm.
BBL and all that stuff. It's like, and we also talked about like the parents, like where are the parents? Um,
Right.
so I love when you like pose questions like that. So absolutely rant ahead. One of the last things I want to say about the song is like, look how many other rappers he drops here. You called Future when you didn't see the club. Lil Baby helped you get your lingo up. 21 gave you false street cred. Thug made you feel like you was slime in your head. Quavo said you can't be from this north side. 2 Chainz said you good, but he lied. you run to Atlanta when you need a few dollars. No, you not a colleague, you a effing colonizer. But he like
Exactly.
all the rappers that he name dropped right there. I was like, woo, he went
And
hard right there.
he had to, because I'm going to tell you, me personally, I don't think that the certified lover boy, certified PDF file verse is what bothered him. What bothered him is that lyric that you read, because that exposed Drake, that he is out here running to different rappers, switching up his style with the rappers that he switches up with. And that's a problem. If Quavo has his certain style, let that be Quavo's style. If Two Chains has his style, or if 21 Savage has his style, let that be their style. But you come and you take their styles, just like you took XXX Extension's style. But when he calls you out on it, you want to act like you have issues and problems. But and that's the whole point when they talk about that he's not of the culture, because you don't do that. He's the best way that I can explain Drake is a student of the culture. He studies it. He's a fan of it. He's like an archaeologist. He collects memorabilia, because in this song we learn about Tupac's ring. I think it's Euphoria. We learned that he had Tupac's ring. We learned that he bought Pharrell's chains in an auction. So he's almost like an archaeologist or a fan of the culture, whereas Kendrick lives it. He talks about it. He lives it every day. He understands what's going on. Drake doesn't really know how to move well. And he is a star. I think he's because he was manufactured. But when it comes down to even with these rap beefs, he just fumbled and stumbled. He didn't know what he was doing. Chubb's the
And
only one that.
why is Chubbs not in this lawsuit? If look, he name drops Chubbs. They tell me Chubb's the only one that gets your hand me down. So he's basically saying that he gets Drake's, young girl hand me down. So why is Chubbs not part of this lawsuit? That's what I'm wondering. And Party at the Party playing with his nose now, so he's accusing him of doing coke.
That's Party Next Door. He's talking about Party Next Door.
So why is he not part of the lawsuit saying you're defaming me? I'm not a drug user. And Baca got a weird case. Baca is the one that was name dropped down there that he was talking about, has an actual case. And then this is certified lover boy, certified, and wop, wop, wop. And this is the part that everybody likes. Like some people didn't even know, like that's what I'm saying, how you have everything from grandmas to little kids singing this. And I don't think that, it's as big of a deal as he says it is. It was just a rap song. I mean, remember Tupac when he said, fuck that bitch, that click you claim or whatever. Like,
yeah. Well, this particular, and I'm going to tell you about this particular song, why it was arranged and fixated the way it was. That is because Drake's fans, when he did, I think it was 616 in LA, Drake's fans was like, a rap song is supposed to have a nice beat that you can dance to. A diss song is supposed to have a nice beat. That didn't have a nice beat. I don't understand how he could sit up here and think he got a good diss record. And they were alluding to Tupac's diss song to Biggie. It had a nice little beat and stuff like that. This whole song, which he wrote, what appears like he wrote in a day or two, was to push back on that talk. So Drake's fans got the one that got his song arranged the way it was.
And it was. And especially this one that trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor. Like I would see people like just singing it like in some random places. Like it did go viral because it was like an earworm. Like that's what it was. It was an earworm.
Exactly. And that particular verse is also in contradiction to when Drake did in Family Matters talking about day free. That because so it's like I said, I knew
back.
Yes, I knew he wrote that in the day because I was looking at the lyrics when I was, initially I was like, there is no way. I said, yes, there is a way, but I'm just like, he wrote this whole song. He probably wrote half of it at one point and then the other half later on. But all of this is from Drake and his friends, which is for someone like me, it's exciting because you have to be talented and then the craft of being a lyricist and an artist and a poet to be able to do all of this in less than 24 hours, amazing to me.
Yep. And I rap, right? I used to do like Christian rap and stuff. I don't know if I
Oh,
ever told you, Pam, but so for me, it's like I'm a student of like rap music and stuff too. So when Pusha T and Drake, when they were going through the beef, I was like so sad for that. Like I literally was like, I want another song. I need another song. Like I didn't care that they were fighting back and forth. I was just like, I
mm-hmm.
want more because it was exciting. Like for people who love hip hop, and I know it shouldn't probably excite us because it's literally like two people fighting, but because we've followed hip hop since the very beginning and it's always been like this.
Right,
Even the movie 8 Mile, why do you think it became so popular? Because it was about, Rabbit trying to get his lyrics right so he could battle this other person and, win the battle. So
right.
right there, 8 Mile shows how popular beefing is. Um, so this is another exhibit here with all of the TikTok videos and the fact that they brought in TikTok, like literally, this is just regular people's TikToks in the filing that you can just click.
Certified lover
Um,
boy, certified
oh, I
pedophile.
might get a strike for that.
God, fuck them up.
Let me
I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling?
stop it. But because literally last time I had like a 5 second Nicki Minaj split.
Mm-hmm.
And then it copyrighted me for like 5 seconds. It was on the Demore Hadley case. She had
Oh,
put like a video with the Nicki Minaj song and it was like copyright. But anyway, so this is someone who did like an animation to the song, but um
right.
yeah, I don't know if you can see it there, but let me hit the back button here. But yeah, so this is, I don't know, like at least 50, like, let me see how many. No, more than 100, 107, 125 TikTok accounts of people just putting them on blast. And it's just people creating content from a song.
From a song. From a song.
Like us content creators are seriously being attacked because it's like the freedom of speech and like now you're permanently in history in a Drake
In
docket.
a court,
So
yeah, and in a court filing. That is crazy.
So UMG responded, and theirs was much shorter, 33 pages. And they, really, really nice and easy statement of facts. The parties, Drake and Lamar, engaged in a vitriolic rap feud. Not Like Us is a massive commercial and artistic success. Then they do their legal arguments, and Drake fails to state a claim for defamation. The alleged defamatory material is non-actionable opinion and hyperbole. Drake cannot allege that UMG acted with actual malice. And what they do is they state this exhibit here. Let me pull it up. Hold on. Oh wait, you know what? I think I didn't get the window up, but they pull up an exhibit of Michael Rappaport um and a case, like, so they cited case law of where someone said that they were defamed and it went to court of appeals and um they had a case. And so they're using that to say like, look, it's happened before and this is freedom of speech and it's hyperbolic speak or whatever. And so they start off with a quote too. They clap back too. Yeah, I want it all. That's why I strive for it. Diss me, you'll never hear a reply for it. Drake, successful. So they come at him with the battle of the pens and they go straight for his rep here. Like this is, we talk a lot about in the Baldoni versus Lively how a lot of this is written for PR. And this particular filing, it was definitely written for PR because here's the headlines you're going to see is Drake, one of the most successful recording artists of all time, lost a rap battle against fellow artist Kendrick Lamar that Drake provoked and in which he willingly participated. Instead of accepting the loss like the unbothered rap artist he often claims to be, he sued his own record label in a meritless attempt to salve his wounds. On March 17th, 2025, UMG moved to dismiss Drake's complaint, and rather than attempt to defend his original complaint, Drake filed an amended complaint in which he removed, obviously, false factual allegations. So I have not compared the two, but that might be another cool show that we could do where we compare the two, or I could like run it
Right.
through ChatGPT to see what they changed. But it seems like they removed a lot of stuff from the first one, but then added multiple allegations about Lamar's performance at the Super Bowl. His new allegations are astonishing. As Drake concedes, Lamar's Super Bowl performance did not include the lyric that Drake or his associates are certified PDF files. So, does he let the crowd sing it? I forgot how he
I was just
went.
gonna say the
It's
crowd
just,
sung it. He didn't say it. The crowd sung it.
um, we do not hear Lamar call him or his crew PDF files. It betrays this case for what it is. Drake's attack on the commercial and creative success of the rap artist who defeated him, rather than the content of Lamar's lyrics. The amended complaint is without merit and should be dismissed with prejudice. And so it introduces, all the players. This is who Kendrick Lamar is. He alleges that Not Like Us constitutes second-degree harassment, but sues under a criminal statute that has no private right of action and does not prescribe speech. Finally, Drake claims that UMG's promotion violates New York general business law. Less than 3 years ago, Drake himself signed a public petition criticizing the trend of prosecutors using artists' creative expression against them by treating rap lyrics as literal facts. And so then here that one I did pull up. Let me grab it real quick. This is what they put as an exhibit. Project Black Art. In courtrooms across America, the trend of prosecutors using artists' creative expression against them is happening with troubling frequency. Regardless of the medium, music, the visual arts, writing, television, or film, fans implicitly understand that creative expression is rooted in what artists see and hear. I mean, imagine if Taylor Swift had sued Ye for his, naked bodies exhibit. You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
and
right.
she might have had more recourse, right? But because that's kind of crazy to like put like the somebody's nude body. It was crazy realistic too. The
But
final. Go ahead.
it was unnecessary. That was my best word. That's the best word that I got.
I mean, as much as I like disliked it, I saw that it was performative art and what he was trying to say. Like people have to bet each other to get ahead. Like even himself. That's what I took from it because you had politicians, you had and I'm not saying that that's what Taylor's did or any of those people did, but that's what that was the artist's vision and imagination or his telling of it, right?
Right.
But so I was just like neither here nor there with that. I was just like, okay, Ye's wild. And then the most wild thing for me was when Kim was like walking around and the family's all like just chilling there. Like that was weird. Rappers are storytellers creating entire worlds populated with complex characters who can play both the hero and the villain. But more than any other art form, rap lyrics are essentially being used as confessions in an attempt to criminalize Black creativity and artistry. For example, currently in Georgia's Fulton County, numerous members of the Young Stoner Life, YSL, a record label led by Grammy-winning artist Jeffrey Lamar Williams, aka Young Thug, are facing more than 50 allegations. Obviously, Young Thug had Brian Steele, which he's one of my favorite lawyers. I like how he works, and he beat the charges
And
there. But
he's so
go ahead.
passionate. I was
Yeah,
saying he is so passionate.
And what's the woman's name too that works with him? Oh, I just totally lost it. What is her name?
I know you're
You know
talking
what I'm
about.
talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah, they both repped. They were in the Diddy trial too, and I
Right.
don't know. I love Brian Steele, like his mannerisms, the way he just, he went really hard for YSL, or Young Thug. Fulton County prosecutors argue that the lyrics, "I get all type of cash, I'm a general," are a confession of criminal intent. The use of lyrics against artists in this way is un-American and simply wrong. Beyond the obvious disregard for free speech and creative expression protected by the First Amendment, this racially targeted practice punishes already marginalized communities and their stories of family, struggle, survival, and triumph. We urge prosecutors to voluntarily end this practice in their jurisdiction. In the meantime, we encourage legislators at the state and federal level to explicitly limit how creative expression can be used against defendants in trial. There are already signs of hope across America. We applaud Governor Newsom for recently signing a bill into law in California, and we urge action on bills currently under consideration in New York and New Jersey, as well as the Restoring Artistic Protection Act legislation introduced by Representative Hank Johnson and Rep. Jamal Bowman in the U.S. Congress. The work is far from done, and we must all join together. And so here's all like the big labels that signed: BMG, RCA, you got Tidal, Hove's streaming network. Let's see who else do I recognize: BMI, and a bunch of people. And then you
Spotify.
have, what's that?
I said Spotify
Oh, I
up
didn't
there.
see. Oh, yeah, Spotify there. Yep, I see that. I see Spotify there. Hot 97, which is a radio station. And then you have all these prominent people: Anthony Anderson, who's a comedian, Angie Martinez. Let's see, what other names do we recognize here?
I saw Baby Tate. I saw
Erica
Erica
Banks,
Banks.
Fat
Yeah.
Joe,
J.
Ice
Cole,
T,
Jadakiss.
J. Cole, John Legend. I mean, John Legend signed this.
Yeah.
Killer Mike, he's been doing a lot with politics. Killer Mike is on there. Mary
Right.
J. Blige, Meek Mill, um, Normani of what was that group called? Fifth Harmony.
Yeah.
Omar Apollo, Post Malone.
Willow. I see
Uh,
Willow down at the bottom.
oh,
Take off
Willow
and
Smith.
I.
There you go. Oh, Willow. Is that Willow Smith?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Roddy Rich, Robin Thicke. So it's not even rappers, okay? Look, you got Robin Thicke saying, "I back this up."
Yeah.
Travis Scott. And did I see where is Drake's signature on here? Because I believe they said that he signed this, but I don't see it. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, right
That's
here.
up there.
There's Drake saying that we shouldn't use lyrics. So this is, Your Honor, Exhibit B. That's all I gotta say. Wait, is it A? Exhibit A, Your Honor. So I mean, they came correct with oh, am I not streaming it? Or am I? Can you see it in StreamYard?
I see it. I see we're still live.
Oh, I just went up the page and it was blank. Okay. I was like, wait, what
Yeah.
happened? Okay. Let me move back to where we were in that lawsuit. Hold on one second. Okay, so then they go through the statement of facts and all that stuff. They basically say that Drake released tailor-made freestyle on Instagram at one point. The track used artificial intelligence to make it sound like the voice of deceased rapper Tupac Shakur, and notably urges Lamar to talk about Drake liking young girls. This is what you were talking about. Kendrick, we need you, the West Coast savior, engraving your name in some hip hop history. If you deal with this viciously, you seem a little nervous about all the publicity. F this Canadian light skin. Dot is what they call Kendrick. We need a no debated West Coast victory. Call him a B for me. Talk about him liking young girls. That's a gift for me. So right here, he's like,
Right.
talk about him like that's a gift for me. Like I'm handing this gift for you so that you can use this in your next song. This is a gift. Like, why don't you talk about me liking young girls? Heard it on the Budden podcast. It's got to be true. So was he goading him here to get him to talk
Exactly.
about it to later sue him?
Because what happened was they heard the song, his verse on Like That. And so then J. Cole came out with his song and then he took it back. So then Drake came out with the push ups and then waited, I think it was a couple of days or a couple of weeks. And then he came out with this tailor made freestyle. All of this was to goat Kendrick to come back out and to battle him. So that's why he was saying that, and he was trying to make, he was talking in the voice of Snoop Dogg, and he was talking in the voice of Tupac because Tupac is one of Kendrick's idols, and Snoop Dogg is also one of Kendrick's idols. So he was baiting him to come out like that.
Yep. So it continues with that, and they do all their legal arguments, and then they end with. Let me go to the end here. He's basically saying, in any event, Drake's claim failed because he only alleges injuries that are indirect, which is, there's no proof that that's what happened, that they did it because of that. Injuries purely contingent on harm to third parties. Here, under Drake's own telling, the injuries he suffered are contingent on others, streaming platforms or consumers. Oh, so this is not just about what happened at his home. This is also about the streaming platforms. And they did try to sue iHeartRadio, but they settled with them. So I'm wondering why there was a settlement with iHeartRadio. I'm gonna have to deep dive into that one because I literally just found that out because I was like, wait, weren't his lawyers in Houston? But that was a separate lawsuit in Houston.
Yeah, it was a separate one because he had Spotify and UMG in New York, and then he had iHeartRadio and UMG down in
Texas.
Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know exactly what happened, but he dropped both of them. He dropped them off the lawsuits, and he dropped Spotify off the lawsuit in New York. What we're doing now, and then he dropped the whole lawsuit with UMG and what you call it in Houston. So that's why it's just up there in New York now. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's
Yep. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm just curious as to why I heard like they didn't want no smoke or what. Like they settled, and I'm wondering about what that settlement is. I don't know if there's any chatter like behind the scenes because there's always leaks and stuff. But so then,
I,
go ahead.
I don't know because it sounded like he was asking for them to give him information, and I think they gave him the information, but it didn't pan out what he thought the information was going to be. I guess I don't know.
Mm, okay, so it wasn't like a monetary settlement or anything. Okay. Um, so this is their reply. So then Drake claps back. This is Gottlieb, which stayed under the page limit, and he's 35 pages. And he says that the amended complaint does, in fact, adequately allege the defamatory statements. And the amended complaint does adequately allege that the defamatory statements are mixed opinion. And the amended complaint adequately alleges actual malice. So, yes, they adequately plead all the claims, including under New York general business law and under second degree harassment. So they double down and they go
Right.
like 5 pages of legal theory here. Um, so I'm not going to get into this whole one because we still got to get into the rat beef and stuff. But um, again, it goes into every single. Now here they're like, narrowing it down because before they said you didn't put the defamatory statement. So here they're doing word for word, like say Drake, I hear you like I'm young. So they're pointing out all the parts of the actual song in
Right.
their reply. And then they also included, again, the pictures. And this is the image from Rappaport. And that this is where they're, citing that one too. So I don't know why but this is the image that here's the cracker honky in that Michael Rappaport case, which I didn't like deep dive into. But it says the Rappaport court determined that certain photos, including the cartoon of a life-size cracker walking down the street, were obviously doctored and therefore underscored the non-factual nature of the piece. And so he's like, this is why it was overturned because it was like parody. But this is not. This looks real. So yeah, they go into all that, and you guys can read it into the doc, or I have the link down there. You guys can see it. It's the response to the objection to the amended complaint. And then, as if that wasn't exhausted enough, we get the reply. So this is the last one, right? Right now we're waiting for the motion to dismiss for the judge to rule on that. But we get the reply. This was only 18 pages long. And they say Drake still fails to state a claim for defamation because these statements are non-actionable opinion. They are not mixed opinion, and Drake does not plead actual malice. Drake fails to state a claim for harassment, and he fails to state a claim for the New York business law thing. So they double down too. And here they cite
Right.
their legal claims. For all you legal nerds, like I said, the link is in the description. Y'all can go and read all this. But basically, they're like, um, assessed in the light of the correct legal standards, not like us conveys non-actionable opinion and rhetorical hyperbole. This is particularly evident when considered in reference to the established body of defamation law, where statements involving allegations of PDF files, vitriolic diss tracks, and statements far more likely than rap lyrics to suggest factual pronouncements or released in context signaling far more sober analysis than a diss track have been deemed non-actionable as a matter of law. Drake responds to this arguments by doubling down on his argument that a handful of cherry-picked anonymous online comments authored by handles like @ohno are evidence that millions of people saw Not Like Us as fact-based. But this argument is simply a continuation of the rhetorical hyperbole that permeates this dispute. It is not cognizable, and in all events does not convert non-actionable opinion into actionable fact. Drake's claim should be dismissed. And so this is their mic drop here. They go through it all. And then they end it with, they basically are saying it's not based on mere withholding, but rather subsequent consumer action and more streams. So they're talking about what was boosted on Spotify and all that. Drake would not have lost any revenue. In conclusion, the amended complaint should be dismissed with prejudice. So we're going to learn who all these lawyers are. Roland Ransom seems to be the lead attorney, and Michael Gottlieb seems to be the lead attorney for Drake. So this was the final reply. Whew, we made it, y'all. Um, and then we have the transcript, which I'm not going to go all the way over, but you guys need to go over and watch Miss Pam over on her channel. And I'm going to play a little tidbit of what she was saying with about the lawyers and stuff. It's just like a little 30-second, but I linked it at the bottom. It's Let's Talk, reading transcripts from the hearing. This is a great, great deep dive. I know it's long. It's 3 hours. You can always watch it on 2x speed. But it's really good and it's worth the watch. I'm telling y'all, she gets into the rap beef of it all, deep dive into lyrics. It's just a must watch. If you really want to get into what happened at the hearing and with the judge, she reads all the pages. But I'm just going to play this little clip here.
And I wanted to just go that because again, Drake's lawyer is saying that they told UMG that all of this stuff was false and that they should have taken it down. So it looks like if that was the impetus, it looks like UMG should have taken all the songs down.
Amen, Miss Pam. Amen. If that's what they were going for, and I love, like, that's why I clipped it, because that was my favorite part. It was like, if they were going to take one song down and UMG, if Drake asked UMG, hey, don't put that song out, then Kendrick would have been able to come back and be like, don't put out another diss track from Drake, right?
Right.
It's his bag.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, she goes through all the filings here. You can see it here. And I mean, not the filings, but the transcript, and, stops here and there to give explanations on things. And I found it really, really compelling. So make sure y'all go support Miss Pam over there on her channel and do the deep dive on that there, the transcript. So she's like, the judge is like, how do I reconcile them when I have to apply New York law? And, Ransom comes in and tells her, and this is where she says, let me see. I'm trying to find the part where she says, where she talks about like, shouldn't I see this in the whole context of things? Let me see if I can find it. I'll scroll through here. They talk about that Rappaport one a lot too in the hearing. I believe it was a rap song against Michael Rappaport, who does he do sports or something? Let me challenge you with one specific lyric like this from Not Like Us, and that's the certified lover boy certified PDF file. It does suggest particularly the use of the word certified, again, an ambiguous term, but paired as it is with certified, she's over here being like a linguist, right? Like, certified PDF file, it could give the listener, a reasonable listener, the impression that in some way there's been some determination, like, like a certified letter or like a certificate of something, it means that it's in some unspecified official way that Drake is a PDF file. What is your response? And he's like, two things about it. First, I think it's critical in considering that particular passage. So this is like hip hop heads, like analyzing lyrics. It's so funny. That certified lover boy is the name of Drake's album. And so it's clearly and deliberately a play on words. Like, he's just like, come on. It's more of a rhetorical hyperbole that we see in this precise content. And then she's like, this brings me a little bit to my prior question, though, which is, who is the ordinary listener? Is it someone who's going to catch all these references and all the nuances between these two artists? Like how me and Pam were, she's like, oh, that's Serena Williams, or that's Party Next Door, people who know hip hop and can decipher it. Who is the ordinary listener, and how do I apply the test when there's so much specialized and nuance to a lot of these lyrics that does require in-depth analysis to catch all of the reference? So UMG's lawyer says, on that question, all of the cases, at least in the way they apply the law, consider the entirety of the context. They don't slice and dice it down to what a particular listener may know and whether every listener knows every piece. In every one of these cases, what the court looks at is the context as a whole, not sliced down. And so he did really good with that argument. So the notion of trying to look at a particular phrase to tease it out and not take into account the broader context, like, hey, Drake, I hear you like him young, and Drake's statement telling him, talk about him liking young girls. He basically baited him. I believe misses the thrust of the case. And so then she says, she goes into the rumors and stuff. But yeah, so y'all go over there and listen to Ms. Pam. She gets through all of it. It's definitely like a good read. And then, oh, see, I did have the Rappaport case up. I thought I didn't have the tab up.
Oh,
It was Michael David Rappaport. And you know what? I'm going to link that. And what else did I say I was going to link? I forgot what else I said. I'm going to have to go back. Laura, do you remember what else I said I was supposed to link? But I'll definitely link this one. I forgot to link it. Oh, I was going to link the exhibit, the lyrics, the Not Like Us lyrics. Okay. And then I'll link this one too, because this one is just super tea. So it was Barstool Sports versus Michael Rappaport. And what they were basically saying is that, that Rappaport had the herp and that he defamatory statements of stalking and all this stuff. So it was, I don't know, it was a rap song, I believe. And so, yeah, you guys can go and read on this case, but they literally name dropped this case a lot in there, as you saw in the hearing and then in the filings.
this case must have been recent. When did they file this? When was that?
They filed it, yeah, May 7th,
May.
so not that long ago. And
Okay.
this case was the actual case.
Dismissed, wasn't it dismissed?
I think it went to appeal, and then they said that it wasn't.
Okay.
So it was in June of 2023 or January of
Okay.
2023. So it's an older case, but they just filed it. So I mean, that's good lawyering when you can find a case that can back you up.
Right.
So there's that. And then what's going on recently is these disclosures that Miss Pam found compelling. This is UMG's disclosures here. And what information that they're saying they have. They're going to be calling on Gary Kelly, saying that he has information on the revenues generated by the recording and video and the delivery and distribution of the video. Mr. Alvarez, who's likely to have discoverable information concerning marketing and promotion. Mr. Evans is likely to have evidence of marketing the video and the recording. Mr. Morella, information considering the promotion. Mr. Rubbo is likely to have information about the contract.
I'm so interested in him.
And Rubbo?
Mr. Rocco, yes, I'm interested in him because I want to know about this contractual relationship that Drake has with UMG. I am so interested in him because, again, Drake wants to have Kendrick's contract. I am so interested in this man and what he had, if it goes to trial, what he has to say about Drake's contract. Continue.
So both Aubrey Drake and Kendrick Lamar, they both want discoverable information from them. Anthony Saleh, his relationship with Lamar and marketing and promotion.
That's his manager.
So this is what, they're basically wanting to compel, like this is what they're going to be bringing in.
What's interesting about this, even though that they filed this, they also filed it in March. But what's interesting now is, when this whole thing came out, it was my understanding, the way I was when I read it initially, he was trying to keep him from, was it to go to the Super Bowl, or he was trying to keep him from playing this stuff, and so it hasn't worked out with that because that has come along and everything's done. But did I lose my train of thought? Hold on, y'all. But what's interesting to me, if this goes to trial, I may have to go to New York. Because I want to sit there and watch his face as Kendrick gets on the stand to talk about this particular case. But here, my train of thought has come back. What's interesting to me is Drake claims that he has asked UMG to take all these songs down, take this song down. And I'm of the opinion that if you take down one, take them all down. But what's interesting to me is Drake is kind of telling on himself in a sense, because this is what I mean. Drake is privy to the fact that his relationship with UMG, because of his status, and everything like that he has asked UMG to do things for him in the past, and they've done it. And so now he's trying to figure out if Kendrick has asked UMG to do things and what did they do? Because and also it's interesting that UMG is keeping these dossiers on their artists. What is in these dossiers that they're keeping on
Mhm.
their artists? I That's what's interesting. That's what's interesting to me because uh I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's this rap label, and I'm not going to call their names, but they have had several of their artists to be
Mhm.
pruned from the timeline.
I'm
And
I know what label you're talking about, but and
yeah,
then all of a sudden you start seeing your views go down, and I made that mistake. But that's why I said I'm only making one video about that situation because my followers really wanted it. But I know exactly who you're talking about.
yeah, and it's interesting to me how the information that that particular record label had on their on these artists. I have a whole theory on that, but again, I do not play in court with anybody.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like I really want to do a tinfoil conspiracy episode because I do like to talk about it for entertainment purposes. Like, don't come at me and don't sue me saying that this there could be truth or like you're defaming me because I love like when it's not like harmful. I mean, I don't believe it's harmful when people are just spitballing. Like, hey, this could be.
Right.
You know, do it about the Illuminati. I know people in the chat were just talking about Little Nas X. Like, there was some conspiracies there. Tinfoil hat theories. Like, he gave his soul to the devil, and now the devil's coming back to collect. Like,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah, I'm interested. I'm wondering if Drake thought this through beyond the fact that, uh I'm gonna put this lawsuit up, and then maybe Kendrick is gonna be shying away from doing the song at the Super Bowl, or maybe he'll shy away from doing this song anywhere else, and that hasn't happened. And so I am interested what he really actually thinks he's going to get from this.
And let me pose a question to you, Miss Pam. Do you think his reputation was more ruined when they were calling him a PDF file, or is now more ruined when he went after uh, the rap industry, basically, as far as lyricism and all that stuff? And now that he's basically, how in the rap world it's like snitches get stitches, right? So it's like he's seen
Hmm.
as like a snitch type of thing, right? That's a lot of people. I see the chatter online. Um, to me, it feels like the Blake Lively Baldoni situation where they're smearing each other more by going the legal route. It's like
And it,
it,
I this is how I
it's
would pose my
sunflower news
answer.
cycle. It would
Yeah,
have.
this is how his reputation is worse because he did the lawsuit. Because honestly and truly, the way these rap beefs work out, you don't have to talk to the other person at all, but there is always a way to squash it. He Every time that song gets amped up is because every time there's an extra filing on this lawsuit.
Mhm.
I think he is, as far as in the rap world, as far as having the respect that he's looking for, I don't think it's there because this is really changing. If this goes to court, if it falls in his favor, this changes the whole course of rap battles and rap beefs
Yep.
because the rap beef, and if anybody is not familiar with it, rap beefs were literally to keep you all from pruning each other from the timeline. If you get out here and you just spew what you need to spew at that person and they spew what they need to spew at you, then that's the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's now it's all about censorship. I think that that's coming up, that they're going to start censoring lyrics, and you think, oh, it's just the rap music. They're going to start censoring everything, and so your artistic expression, if you mean I want to eat the cake and that's censored, you're going to have to use other different words, just like how we do here on YouTube, how we have to say certain words to mean something else. That's
Mm-hmm.
tiring. And that messes up artistic expression, in my opinion. If you want to say, I want to eat the cake, the yellow cake, you should be able to say, I want to eat the cake, the yellow cake. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you're worried about where their children are supposed to listen to, and I've said this all along, you all are the parents. It's your job to figure out what you want your children to listen to and what you
Oh,
don't want them to
Miss
listen to.
Pamisms. I told y'all, Miss Pam always delivers. Get it, Pam.
And so it's I don't want to see if you start censoring here, you're going to start censoring there. And
Mhm.
I mean, just and things to me that and once you start censoring, then people's biases start coming out, and then you start censoring those things within somebody else's bias, and before you know it, and I keep saying it, and I will say this, I think this is the way the country. Pol Pot. If you don't know who Pol Pot is, look him up. That's how things starts going. And anything intellectual, anytime anybody has any artistic expression, people are going to quash it. And there's nothing worse in a society when people do not have the ability to express themselves freely. And I'll leave it at that.
And this is why I love Miss Pam, because she be dropping these like wisdom. Like I love it when you're always like, it's up to the parents. Like we talked about that with the Joe, Fat Joe, and even the quid pro quo with Tyler Perry. Like, who are the people who were taking these quid pro quos at some point that created an atmosphere where it was acceptable? So
Right.
like we got into the deep wisdom of it all. So I do appreciate it when you give us those little drops of wisdom there. Star Child said, had he just shut up and went away, he would have been fine. And she was agreeing with you, or he or she, they were agreeing with you,
Hmm.
saying exactly what you were saying. So
And all Drake had to do was put out a great album, a great song. I mean, but it just like
well, he did clap back one last time after Not Like Us, and it just didn't stick. And so he lost the battle. And then, obviously
that's it.
it
He
didn't happen.
lost that battle. But after that, a couple of weeks, you know how he came out with all of this craziness and stuff like that. What was that? Wangwan Delilah, whatever all of that was. He should have just sat still, gone away for 3 or 4 weeks, or maybe a couple of months, like it happened in May. You could have let what's his name, Kendrick, just get off June. He had June, July. As soon as July 4th came around, you knew he was going to put a song. I would have done Kendrick like he done me, and like I would have done to Kendrick what Kendrick did to him when he dropped Meet the Grams. So when Kendrick dropped that July 4th video for Not Like Us, he should have been ready to drop a song with the visual, with the video on July 4th as well, and then moved on from there. And whether the song was like the biggest song, it doesn't matter. But that's the way he should have handled that. He should have acted unbothered. Is the best words I want to say.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we say about Blake Lively. Like if she would have just gone away, like for a little while, and then came back with another movie, everybody was already forgetting about it. But you're putting more eyeballs on yourself by filing a lawsuit that has docket drops. This one doesn't have as many docket drops, but in that case, it's like every day, sometimes twice a day.
I know it just got too much. It got to be too much.
I
You
know
know
a
how
lot of people fell off. They're like, we're just going to cover the big stuff because it's like the very time. And I noticed Gottlieb does it in this case, these letters to the judge about everything. And in other dockets, I don't see these letters. I see like, months go by and then it's like, okay, this is a motion for discovery or whatever. If somebody needs to get subpoenaed or whatever. But these letters to the judge about every little single thing, I don't know if that's just the Gottlieb thing or what, but yeah, what were you saying? Okay, so we're gonna move into this the Lucian Grange thing, where he basically there was a tweet that I put out or on X, a post on X that
Mhm.
said, Lucian basically is saying I don't give a shit, like it's just a declaration. I don't give a shit about this, but he does. He says so. This is Lucian, who's the CEO of UMG. He's saying it makes no sense whatsoever why I'm being involved in this, right? He
Right.
claims that I was behind it, and that I invested hundreds. He's like, why would I do that? I invested hundreds of millions of dollars in Drake, including longstanding and critical financial support for his recording career, the purchase and ownership of the bulk of his recording catalog, and the purchase of his music publishing rights. And this is where a lot of people went like ham, where they're like, oh, he doesn't even own his catalog and stuff. Like, no wonder.
This whole declaration should have been read over Nas's ether beat.
Please, yes.
It should have been
pull
ran
it up
over
if
as
I didn't
beat.
get copyrighted. I would pull it up. I hate
Oh,
that we can't pull up songs because I would love to do a
oh,
stream where I'm like listening to Beaver, Swag Summer,
yeah.
and just like
Yeah.
but you get copyrighted now for every little thing. You can't even enjoy little tiny pieces. Like I said, that little tiny beat. But you know when you were saying about how Drake should have just dropped another song, like this is one of the times that I flip-flopped when Drake came out with his newest song. What is it? Like, what did I miss? That one. Because
Mhm.
I was following the Baldoni and Lively one. I ended up using it on a like little TikTok about Justin Baldoni. But it's about like
Mhm.
your friends being close to you and then backstabbing you. And that's kind of what happened to Baldoni with the author of the book and one of his friends that he podcasted with. They kind of like stabbed him in the back. And for a
Right.
while, I was Team Drake just because I loved the song. It was such an earworm, and I was just like listening to it that I kind of like for a minute forgot about the dang rap battle and what he was trying to do to hip hop. And I was just like, Drake's not so bad, like this is good. And then, as more filings started to come in and Gottlieb started pissing me off again, I was
And
like,
that's the whole, but that is the charm of Drake. Because he makes catchy little songs and stuff like
mhm.
that. All he had to do was get back to his little catchy little songs and
I know, I started
all of
to
these
get
little,
weird to him. And then
yeah.
what was the filing that like pissed me off? Oh, it was the dang Cujo subpoena thing where they were like trying to go after him and alternate service and all this stuff. And I was just like, you guys are annoying with this. I'm gonna put it. I've never heard of alternate service. He ended up getting served with like they put it on his neighbor's door or something like crazy like that. But it was just a bunch of filings. I think he filed like 3 or 4 things like back to back to back where I was just like, ugh, Gottlieb
Right.
gets on my nerves. So just because I didn't like the lawyer, then I started taking it out on Drake. And
Yeah.
yeah, so speaking of how a song could have made a difference, I'm the perfect example because, for a couple weeks, I would say I fell for it. I was like way on Team Drake for a second. But yeah, I
Right.
have been flip flopping. I'm currently on Team Kendrick right now, but we'll see as more stuff comes out what happens. But basically, he's saying, given my role, I am accustomed to personal attacks, and I further recognize that a frequent strategy of UMG's litigation opponents is to attempt to waste my and UMG's time and resources with discovery of the sort that Drake is seeking here, either in an attempt to gain media attention or in an effort to force some kind of commercial renegotiation or financial concession. But given Drake's motion, I would like to make it quite clear. I had never heard the recording Not Like Us, nor ever saw the corresponding cover art or music video until after it was released by Interscope Records. So Interscope Records is the label that is under UMG.
Right.
So they're both under UMG, but Kendrick is under Interscope, and I forget what Drake's label is, but it's 2 different labels that are under UMG.
Republic.
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 And that's why I have you on, Miss Pam, because I was like, I need somebody who can quickly know what's up. Whilst it's part of my role, I certainly have financial oversight of any responsibility for UMG's global business. The proposition that I was involved in, much less responsible for reviewing and approving the content of Not Like Us and its cover art, or for determining or directing the promotion, is groundless and indeed ridiculous. Signed, Sir Lucian Grange. And
And
so that was his clapback. He was just
I
like,
love that. There's a couple of things in there that I love. First of all, when Drake was talking about Kendrick, show me your contract, show me your splits, and I'll show you mine. He was trying to make it seem like his contract was so well. We're finding out you don't even own your masters, you don't even own any of those things, even your publishing rights. Uh, that was one thing. The
mhm.
second thing that you learn is Drake is not as close to Lucian as he made us believe that he was. And the reason why I say that is because he's the way Lucian wrote this. I'm over here with it. I'm part of the whole umbrella company trying to make sure that all these things stay afloat. I don't have time to sit back with one artist and be at his beck and call because Drake makes it seem like everybody is at his beck and call or whatever. And that's another part of the clapback too. I just thought, wow, he's
Mhm.
telling you right now, you are actually wasting my time. I'm not making any money fooling around with you, Drake. So I just want it to be known for you to leave me alone because whatever it is, I'm not coming to. I'm not going to be
But
able to
I'm
come to
Bennett.
court.
I'm
Yeah,
Bennett and I ain't in it. Skin on Sam says, what did he miss? His daddy, his bus, his pet, his feelings, his brain cells. His man wants to take a now. He missed his bus tours to Canada. Okay, Okay, Skittles over here writing a rap beef in the
I
comments.
know, right in the comments.
So be
Oh my
careful,
gosh.
Skittles, you won't be in the docket. Like, be careful. And so this is kind of like a little lesson. I like to do like an ode to Ask Two Lawyers, who does education material on what's going on. So Drake's lawyers had argued that Grange is far from a distant corporate figurehead, and it points to his own words, calling Drake one of the biggest artists of today as evidence of his awareness of Drake's market value. And then it cites, what that quote, "A single lie can destroy you." Um, so they're saying the apex argument that UMG cannot keep straight is that UMG invoked the apex custodian doctrine. So this is something we're learning, y'all. Apex custodian doctrine. The doctrine to block Grange's inclusion in discovery. But Drake's attorney countered. There is no blanket prohibition on discovery from high-level executives in this district. Whereas here, the executive has unique personal knowledge and relevant facts. They note UMG has offered 3 shifting rationales for blocking these files: that he has no involvement, no meaningful involvement, and cumulative, all without conducting a search. Modern e-discovery deduplication eliminates the concern of cumulative production. UMG's refusal to even search custodial files is unjustified obstruction. And this is something Michael Gottlieb has done in the Blake case too. It's like they want to double down and bring in people who don't have anything to do with it before they exhaust their options with the people who are actually involved. And so they're basically saying those documents somewhere else.
So are they saying, because here's the way I'm looking at that. So if Drake is suing UMG and they're wanting particular documents, the way I'm looking at what Lucian Grange is saying, I'm the top executive. There are people under me that have the documents that you want. I may have those documents, but it's going to be redundant because it's going to be the same documents that you can get from Republic, just like you can get from Interscope. So why are you bothering me with all of that? That's what I'm thinking.
How they brought in the Sean Diddy SA stuff. It's like they're trying to make headlines, because who's the bigger name? Is it going to make headlines that you're trying to subpoena docs from whoever the CEO? I don't even know who the CEO is of Interscope.
I don't.
Or is it going to make more headlines if you're name dropping Sir Lucian, who was just name dropped in the Diddy case, which is one of the biggest cases?
Right.
So
And also too, he's supposed to know anytime a corporate head he's supposed to know the person who's making the money for him, quote unquote. I'm just going to use this word, the employee that's making a lot of money for them. They're going to know your name. They're going to know who you are, and they even may have met you at the Christmas party. But the day-to-day operations of what's going on, he may not be involved in that. And so I thought his declaration was key. It put a perspective for me, because I was under the impression that he was going to Lucian Grange for everything, when he probably wasn't. He just probably talked to him in the hallway and passing, like, "How you doing, Lucian?"
Right? Yeah. So it continues with the Kendrick Lamar contract, which this is so spicy. When UMG produced Kendrick Lamar's recording contract in June 2025, Drake's lawyers say it was gutted by black ink. The agreement produced is so heavily redacted as to be virtually unreadable and incomprehensible. And who else does that? Okay. Freaking Gottlieb trying to say this when he does this in the Blake filings. There was a whole second amended complaint with like 6 pages of redaction. So Mr.
And they have to. I don't know if the judge can do that or not in regards to all that, but they need to be very specific about what they're looking for, because just to have someone's contract, there are things in that contract that I would think that businesses wouldn't want other businesses to know. You know what I mean? So like if I have in my contract, because when I was growing up, the things you did not talk about, you didn't talk about your salary. You don't talk about politics, and you didn't talk about religion in the workplace. So if I'm looking at somebody else's contract, I'm also seeing how much somebody else would make. But that's not my business. Even if we're doing the same job, if I'm doing this job and my education or something happens that causes for me to make a couple of dollars more than you, it doesn't mean that I'm a better employee than you. That just means that that's what my contract is. And that's why, as I was coming up, you didn't talk about that. And so I would think that something in that, I wouldn't want Drake to have privy to my contract if I can't be privy to his contract, because he's not wanting his contract to get out there. He's just wanting to see Kendrick Lamar contract. And I suspect he wants to see how UMG is paying him. Does he own his masters? Does he do? I suspect that's the only reason, because what does his contract have to do with the song of defamation and Not Like Us?
Mm-hmm. And you also see it when you're talking about pay disparity and all that stuff. You see it in film too. You know, like the women get paid less or men get paid less, and nobody really talks about the salary because then there's conflict. So
Right.
it's a thing. So they could be hiding this, but they're saying, and this is something that came from Pusha T. I don't know if it's in evidence or not. I did see a tweet about it. But basically,
Mhm.
Pusha T said that at one point when he was having the beef, that UMG basically would not approve the song. And so Drake is taking this as like, oh, UMG in the past has done it. They've had editorial control over content. And so I know that they can do it. And so they could have shut this song down. So I'm not
That's
sure.
the whole point. That is my whole point. Drake knows that they can do it, because I there's no way that you cannot make me believe that he doesn't pick up the phone to whoever he talks to at Republic and say, hey, so and so and so and so is on a record, or so and so and so and so is saying stuff. Because even Kendrick said, you sent a cease and desist for the Like That record. He didn't even want that to come out. So that tells me he knows that they do it. I think he's pissed off because he asked UMG or Republic to stop Kendrick and they told him no. I think that's the whole point of this whole thing. He was told no.
It says a 2-tier protective order, including an AEO designation, already protects against competitive harm. UMG's relevance redactions are improper and deprive the plaintiff of criminal context. And this is where we follow the money. The Interscope and Republic rivalry. Drake's team argues that UMG's internal competition between the two labels, Republic and Interscope, creates financial motives for the alleged defamation. So UMG's labels executives are rewarded based on the performance of their label relative to others in the UMG ecosystem. So now we know the names. Here we go. Interscope CEO John Janik, therefore, had a financial incentive to see Lamar's success and Republic's decline. To test this theory, they're requesting Janik's compensation structure, 2024 incentive metrics, monthly revenues, the valuation of Lamar's catalog over the same period. These records will demonstrate the financial motives underlying UMG's decision. UMG's history of censorship. The motions also demand records showing UMG's past censorship. And this is where I got ahead of myself. But Def Jam, a UMG label, intervened to remove certain verses from Pusha T's The Story of Added On. But see, this is where I'm saying this was Def Jam. Kendrick's is Interscope. So maybe they have different rules. Like, how do we know that it wasn't at the, how you were saying, at the lower levels? Like, is somebody really bothering?
Right.
Like, hey, da da da. Like, I don't think so. He wanted to remove certain verses from Pusha T's The Story of Added On. And this is where Pusha T basically outed Drake having a son. Nobody knew that Drake had a son, right? Until this dropped. That what perceived as damaging to other artists. This selective enforcement is probative of UMG's intent and actual malice. By contrasting that intervention with their inaction and Not Like Us, Drake's lawyers say they can show UMG's choices were deliberate. So here's the timeline of the discovery so far. April, Drake proposes 28 custodians and UMG agrees to only 5. May, UMG refuses Grange's inclusion, invoking Apex custodian. June 25th, UMG produces the redacted Lamar contract. August, meet and confer ends with resolution. August 12th, motions to compel are filed. In one letter, Drake's counsel warns your refusal to even search him, coupled with your reliance on shifting and unsupported rationales, is an obstruction of discovery. And then, so now we're going to get into the long history of corporate power struggles. This follows a decade-long pattern in which high-profile rap disputes have intersected with the business interests of the labels. From Tupac versus Biggie, where the East Coast and West Coast overlapped, with Bad Boys Records and Death Row, to 50 Cent versus Ja Rule, where label rivalries shaped careers. The history of hip-hop is littered with beefs that executives quietly benefited from, which is what I was saying, that was the only point that I did kind of find compelling. that it could be true
And
that, you know, it makes money.
And that's
But
where
that's
I
not
have an issue and problem. That's where I have an issue and problem with record labels. That's a big issue and problem that I have, because while these people are out here beefing, which is fun for the audience, they're silently cashing in and making all these bonuses and things like that. So I don't have an issue in regards of flushing that out.
But even in film, like there's beefs, there's Marvel versus DC, always, you know, one trying to up the other.
Right.
You have other forms of art where there's competition. Competition has always fueled art in some way. So to take that away, that's why I'm like, at the same time, I see both sides. Since becoming CEO in 2011, Grange has overseen billions in streaming era growth, signed or retained megastars like Taylor Swift, Drake, Billie Eilish, and The Weeknd, and encouraged strategic competition between labels under the UMG umbrella. Kendrick signed to Interscope through his company, PG Lang, and he's one of the most acclaimed rappers of his generation. His 2024 track, Not Like Us, became both a chart-topping hit and a cultural flashpoint in the Drake feud. Drake's legal theory is simple. Grange had the power to intervene. He did not, and profited from the fallout. It's just entertainment defense. UMG will likely argue that Not Like Us is artistic expression, part of a tradition of exaggerated diss tracks that are not meant to be taken literally. Drake's counter is that the content was really specific and tied to real life allegations that promoted in a way that blurred the lines between art and fact. And they're using that picture of his house that's one of their big evidence of that it was too realistic looking. If the court sides with Drake, labels may become more cautious about releasing songs that could be construed as factual attacks. And so does this mean that Taylor Swift no longer gets to write about her exes?
Exactly.
Riddle me that. Riddle me that.
That is the fear that I have, because she's going to be talking about her exes. Now her exes can come and sue and say, "Hey, she's talking about me, and I don't want to hear, I don't want to hear that." And it's just going to be this snowball effect if he wins like that. It's just going to be this snowball effect, and that's why I think that it's going to hamper artistic expression. She's not going to be, your fave is not going to be able to sing about her ex-boyfriends and make her millions, almost billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And that goes with all of our singers. You're going to be talking about this. You're in love with somebody, and somebody will sue. Well, I'm not in love with you, and you talking about being in love with me. I am currently married, and now my husband thinks you and I are having an affair. I'm suing.
Selena and Bieber can never write music again.
Right.
So this is where we get into the legal stuff. This is, partially education. And I know we're running long, but, that's how these deep docket dives have to be, because we're getting into the nitty gritty of it. Like, Miss Pam spent 4 hours reading one document. We're going through a bunch. So thanks for everyone who's still with us. And, if you guys want to catch this on replay, crew, totally understand that as well. This is where we get into the legal precedent, which is one of the fun parts for me, is the law. Apex custodian discovery is one thing that they're using. There is no blanket prohibition on the deposition of high-level executives. The burden is on the party seeking to prevent discovery to show that the executive lacks unique personal knowledge. Raid versus Ingerman, where the executive has unique personal knowledge of the issues in the case, discovery from that executive is appropriate. How it helps Drake. It shows Grange cannot be shielded if he has unique personal knowledge. Improper relevance redactions. In State Street Bank and Trust Co. Fixed income funds, Invalida, whatever. Here's the quote from that. Relevance redactions are generally disfavored as they deprive the requesting party of context that may be critical to understanding the unredacted portions. And in the Blake Lively case, Perez Hilton was subpoenaed, and part of the documents were redacted. And so he asked the courts, like, hey, I want an unredacted copy of whatever's in there, because I can't file a response and defend myself without knowing what's in there. So I do understand this point. The fact that certain portions of a document may not relate to the dispute does not justify a unilateral redaction by the producing party. Now, this part I don't agree with, because, and this is like, you have to deep dive into the legal, because sometimes they'll quote like something, and then if you look further in the decision, it won't be like what you say. Because I've seen a lot of those things where I'll look up the case and I'll be like, oh, he's got a good point here. And then once you're reading the entire decision, you're like, wait, but he wasn't meaning it in that context. And that's when other lawyers can come and clap back. So how it helps Drake undercuts UMG's rationale for producing a blacked out Lamar contract. Then you have New York versus the U.S. Department of Commerce for the cumulative evidence claims. The mere possibility of some overlap does not make the sought after discovery cumulative. So this counters the claim that Grange's files are duplicative. Scope of discovery, Rule 26 state that parties may obtain discovery regarding any non-privileged matter that is relevant to any party and proportional to the needs of the case. This confirms Grange's files, Lamar's contract, and the financial records are relevant. If Judge Shanae Vikers applies these precedents, as Drake's lawyers argue, UMG may have to open the doors to its executive suite, its most guarded contracts, and its financial strategies, something no major label has ever been forced to do in a feud of this scale. So that's just some of the legal stuff that Drake was claiming. Obviously, they, are going to clap back. Lucian, he didn't really come back with any case law in that letter. But I'm sure that, they're going to go back and forth because this is never easy. Discovery is never here. You can have the paperwork.
And I'm just scared of the precedence of it all, because it's like, I'm an artist and you're an artist, and you and I are in competition to see whose song can get to number one. And I can sue you and the record label because you and I are battling to get to this song of number one. And I feel like there's some kind of big financial interest that you have for your song being number one, and you're trying to supersede me from getting my song to being number one. So now I want to see your contract, CJ. I want to see what's going on in your contract as to why you're getting all of this stuff done, and you're trying to battle me to go to one. People are gonna find, even though he feels
legal channels, like, let me see your monetization AdSense contract.
Yes. Right.
Oh my gosh, that would be so funny.
And it's just gonna snowball, and then it's gonna be to the point. Everybody's gonna start losing money, because now, unless the only thing that you're gonna talk about is my feet are big, my butt is big, yeah, because that's the only thing truthful that you can talk about. Or that's the only thing that you're going to be able to talk about, because everybody's going to be suing you, because you're going to be talking about boyfriends and girlfriends. And the time I was walking down the street and I saw the kids playing on their bikes, and the kids who were playing on their bikes are going to start suing because you shouldn't have put me in that song. You violated my rights because I was just playing on the sidewalk, and you shouldn't have told everybody that I was there. This is just
my bike shouldn't have been exposed to the public. Yeah, it's going to get crazy.
Yeah.
So
it's going to get real crazy.
The latest filing, and this is like, it's going on. I'm doing it double time with that other case too. Going after subpoenas on third parties. So this is Josh Kaplan, and they're also asking for alternative means. And so this is the latest docket. So if you guys go and pull up the court listener docket, this is what's the latest. And they're saying that he has relevant information as far as the deceptive business practices that are going on. And the promotion of the song. So they're trying to go after him for alternative service. And what I found compelling, I'm not sure where it's at. Oh, right here, where he's like, the current address where he's at, there was no one there. And then we again knocked on the door to the apartment and no one was there. And we don't believe he lives there anymore. And in the Lively Baldoni suit, they're trying to get one of the other cast members subpoenaed. And just today, they're like, we don't approve alternative service because if she doesn't live there, then you need to serve her at an address where she does live so that it looks like it's attempted. And so we can't give you alternative service. So I'm like, it's funny to see like how these judges, and they're both in SDNY, are going to rule. Like, I wonder if he's going to give him alternative service. We know he did it for Cujo. And it's just crazy that for this one time, for that girl, Isabella Ferrer, they're like, go try harder and then come back. Like you need to go try and serve her a little bit harder. And I'm like, okay, she's got a lawyer now that is on the record in this filing, right? So why, like, I don't understand the bureaucracy of courts like that. Like, why not just be like, okay, now you're on record with the lawyer. Let me just give you the subpoena because you've allowed yourself to become part of the case here by filing something. And so this is how we're going to get a hold of you. The whole subpoena process is crazy. So if they're going to let you, subpoena, in that case with Baldoni, they've let them subpoena through LinkedIn, through Instagram. It's like, okay, then fine. Put that in the rules as Bible now that we live in a digital world. Instead of spending thousands of dollars on these private investigators. There was at one point in the Baldoni case where this guy went, and this was a female too, that worked at one of the PR companies, trying to track her down and subpoena her. He went through her back gate and was like looking through her blinds. Like, that's scary. So I don't know.
But I saw on one of these, is this the one? Yeah, because this is the one I can kind of see if they do that because of the fact that they had like 6 or 7 different address for this person. And
And
I mean, you know,
this is where they don't redact stuff. Look, now we have Mr. Kaplan's number, the mobile number. Like they did not redact the number. They did not redact the address either. All this stuff is normally supposed to be redacted. So shame on you, Michael Gottlieb. You literally just, oh well, that wasn't him. It was a different lawyer, but still, shame on you for not.
still.
They've done it in other filings, not just the Isabella one, because she had her own lawyer, but they've done it to where they've doxed several people in that. And look, now with this one, we got a number and an address. So sorry about that. I even highlighted it. I'll then I dox them doubly. I'm like, then I show it.
But you know, it's like what are you going to do? Because this is now part of public record. I mean, you did, you know,
Mhm.
it is scary. But I assume, because you know, at one point I'm thinking, does this man even exist? Because he seems to move.
Cujo was in Africa and he was never in Africa.
Oh my.
Yeah,
Okay,
they were
'cause
like he ran to Africa. Like there was so many rumors. Oh my God, the Cujo. If you fuck with the whole Cujo subpoena gate, that was crazy. All the conspiracy theories.
wow. But
So
this is just, I mean, where did they? I'm just amazed that they got all of these addresses. So these look like addresses that this man has probably had for years. You know how people move?
mm-hmm. Yep.
Hmm.
And yeah, so they have to do what they can. So I don't understand why now with the digital era, they're also doing it. It used to be like if you were called for a deposition, you had to live within 100 miles of the jurisdiction or they couldn't call you in for a deposition. But now with Zoom, since COVID and all that stuff, they call people from like, if you live in New York, you don't necessarily have to be 100 feet from the jurisdiction in order to comply because you can do it over Zoom. So a lot of
Right.
things in court are going to change with the digital era. And I just feel like instead of having people stalking other people, it's almost unsafe. They should just be able to email them or there should be like an alternative digital, like what they were doing, Instagram, LinkedIn. But I know that that's a tactic is to avoid service as long as possible. So we're going to
Right.
get into the wrap beef portion really quick as we
Okay.
start wrapping up here with the players and stuff. And it goes into all the songs, the 6 songs here. You have, let me make it bigger this time. I'm gonna put you down here. You have Like That, which was the one that you said that he was kind of trying to um,
The cease and desist.
Future, Metro Boomin, and Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick dismisses the idea of a big 3 in hip hop, including Drake and J. Cole, positioning himself as superior. He compares himself and Drake to Prince and Michael Jackson, respectively. And then comes Push Ups in April. So this is a month later. Drake, a leaked track where Drake pushes back at Kendrick, rejecting Kendrick's artistic claims and attacking his pop collaborations, including songs from Maroon 5 and Taylor Swift. So he makes a lot of smoke against Taylor Swift. Like we're gonna get into this real quick. Taylor made freestyle. So this is a play on Taylor caught some strays, and I'm surprised the Swifties aren't, on this. I don't know if they were or not, but Drake controversially issues AI to recreate Tupac's voice to diss Kendrick. This track was later removed from platforms following legal threats from Tupac's estate. So Taylor made freestyle is a diss track by Drake aimed at Kendrick Lamar, released in April 2024. The title and lyrics mention Taylor Swift, but not because she's directly involved in any beef. Rather, the references to Taylor Swift serve as metaphors to highlight industry dynamics. In the lyrics, Drake implies that Kendrick Lamar delayed releasing music because of Taylor Swift's album schedules, comparing Taylor Swift to Anthony Tiffith, the head of Kendrick's former label, suggesting Swift metaphorically controls Kendrick's release timing. And this is where I'm like, Drake even calls Swift the biggest gangster in the music game right now in this context. The references are more about illustrating control in industry politics rather than Taylor Swift being a participant in the feud. She is not directly involved, but her name is used symbolically in the song. And so to me, I'm like, is this a subliminal? Like towards because Kendrick, what he's trying to do is to take down, or from what it seems like, and this is all allegedly, he's trying to take down the PDF files of the music industry, calling it out how it is, all that stuff. And if you
Not
follow
really. Not really. What it's about, Kendrick is trying to do is to show that Drake is not who he says he is.
so you
Drake,
don't think like a larger thing, like because he name drops a
no,
bunch of people.
He does. He does. Drake, Kendrick, in my opinion, his whole movement of this whole rap battle is to show the world that Drake is not who Drake says he is. Drake is not someone who he says that he's a student of a rap battle, but yet he gets real sensitive. He calls him a pop star.
Hmm.
He says he's sensitive like a pop star. You're not a rap artist, because if someone calls your name out in a control verse that he did back way back when, everybody else looked at it as a badge of honor. Drake looked at it and was angry because, hey, I took you on to ASAP Rocky on tour. How in the world are you going to mention my name in this song like you're trying to take my spot? Why are you doing that? Because that's what rappers do. He's calling him out. It does him being a calling him a PDF file. That's just hyperbole. That's just shock and awe. The whole purpose of if you listen to it on Euphoria, but we'll get to that. He's just calling Drake out, saying he's not the rapper that he portrays himself to be.
Okay, so here is Euphoria, like you said, a direct diss
Exactly.
to Drake's authenticity and persona.
Right.
So okay, so yeah, so like you're saying, yes, it's hyperbole. 616 in LA and Family Matters are the next ones that come a little bit later on May 3rd. Drake and Kendrick respectively escalate the feud with serious allegations. Drake accuses Kendrick of domestic violence and conspiracies about his managerial staff, while Kendrick alleges Drake is a predator and criticizes his personal life harshly. And this is the one where he goes after him really bad. Meet the Grams. When people are like, "Oh, they went after Adonis," no, he went after the family first. Meet the Grams was first, and not like us. Kendrick accuses Drake of having a secret daughter and having or being a PDF, further inflaming the conflict. And then the Heart Part 6 was his last one, which was Drake responds denying allegations and reversing accusations onto Kendrick. But by this time, he had already lost the battle, right?
Right. And I hate that they didn't put in there on number 6 that he also again talked about Drake's not being authentic as to, authentic as being a rapper. That he's not who he says he is. But to go ahead.
Yeah. And so it talks about the AI voices, and then it summarizes it. But those are the songs at the heart of the beef. This is the
Hmm.
like, if you're the judge and you wanted to see the context in its entirety, he participated in it, and it goes back and forth. Um,
I would just have them to add first person shooter. Even though that happened in 2023, that would explain Kendrick Lamar dismissing them about being the big three.
yeah, because it started with him and on first person shooter. Is that where they call themselves the big three?
Correct.
So, and then the first song in the battle is Like That, which was a reply to that. Like, no, you're not in the big
Right.
three.
And that was and what's so funny about that is that was just a verse. I guess he just didn't mean for them to clap back as they did, as what's his name, J. Cole did with his song, because his song came out a little bit before Push Ups did.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, it's an interesting thing. But if you wanted to get back to where the beef actually really really started, they got to go back to that Control verse, and how Drake responded to that Control verse. But that was back in 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. But anyway.
So it always starts from like a way battle, and then it just gets like worse as it goes along. And like I said, it could be because sometimes it takes years before there's like replies of back and forth, or sometimes they don't even reply
Right.
back.
They don't even reply.
This I found compelling. It was an interview that they included in one of the exhibits where it's, I think, a podcast or something is talking about rap beefs. And the oldest rap beef is something called the Roxanne Wars. It was a young teenage Roxanne Shante from Queensbridge that stepped up to the plate just to play in a speculative exercise, but it became a moment. It becomes a lot of people trying to find their moment in the sun and at the early years of hip hop by piling on in responses to Roxanne. And again, this is a
Hmm.
teenage girl. And the responses go from, Roxanne's a bitch, which is already, inappropriate. And she was like, what, 14 or 15 at the time? Yeah, and that is the
Yeah.
inception of one of the most known beefs in history. It's the very
Yeah.
first beef. So this is schooling
I
you on.
remember that beef. I remember that. UTFO came out with a song called Roxanne, Roxanne. And they talked about Roxanne so bad. Then Roxanne Shante came back and told them she came back and answered that song. And then they were pissed off because again, there's a lot of machismo in rap music back in the day. How dare this woman come back and say something to us? And then they started saying something. And then she came back again. It was wonderful. Go ahead. I'm sorry. See,
No,
I'm that old.
thank you that you know it. I had the Wikipedia here, but I don't need it. And I was like, oh, I can skip over that slide because you summed it up perfectly. Um, and they go on to talk about women battles, Megan the Stallion versus Nicki. This is not just men. This is not just Tupac, Biggie, or Ye and Drake or anything. This is women too, Megan and Nicki. And I think there was a Nicki Cardi beef as well,
Mm-hmm.
going back and forth on records and stuff. Um, so yeah, it says we know all this pretty well, and here is the little girl here, the little girl, the teenager. If you guys want to go listen to it, because my audio, I don't think it's gonna work. I can try it, but I just saw
Yeah.
the StreamYard
There is
audio.
a movie. There is a movie out in regards to this Roxanne Shante and her this woman, how she grew up and everything like that, and then how she got to this rap beef. There's a whole movie, and I can't remember what the name of it is, and I think it's on Netflix if I'm not mistaken.
But yeah, so the song's called Roxanne's Revenge. Let me see. Tell me know if you can hear it, Pam. But earlier, I'm glad that I had played your stuff before because it said your StreamYard audio went out. So I don't know if it's back, but let me know if you can hear it. Can you hear it?
I can't hear it.
Yeah, I think I don't have audio, but yeah, you guys could go listen to Roxanne's Revenge on because I think StreamYard I lost the audio. And when it does that, I don't know why it does that. You know what? I've noticed that it's when I talk about crazy crap. It's like,
It, cut- it cuts off the audio for the tab. I've noticed it does that a lot for me. And sometimes, like I said, and if I get a telephone call or something, it messes with this audio in my headset. So
let me see if this one will work real quick. Let me try this tab. Can y'all hear this one?
I can't hear anything. I just see it.
Yeah, I put it in a new tab and it still didn't work.
Oh my gosh, I used to have a rabbit fur coat like that.
This reminds me of me when I was rapping when I was like,
So old. Oh my gosh, used to have those little fur jackets, and I think some of them were made out of. But anyway, I'm sorry,
I
but that
wanted to
was
be
the most.
both a rapper and an MC. Like I couldn't pick like which one I wanted to be when I was older because I loved the DJs in the back being the hype man and all that.
Hmm.
I also loved like being up front and rapping and stuff. I had such an affinity for it. Um,
Hmm.
but this is so cool. I never heard of Roxanne. I didn't know. Like I know a lot about
Hmm.
piece, but I was today years old with Roxanne. So you always
Yeah,
learn.
Roxanne, Roxanne. I
Um,
want to be your man. That was the song. And then they started talking. It was like each one of the people in UTFO was talking about Roxanne, how they dated or talked to her, everything like that. And then the next thing you know, she comes back like, hold on, y'all are not gonna talk about me. I'm gonna talk about each last one of you all.
see if it works now. Let me see one last one. You hear it?
And every time that I see him, he's always a begging. And all the other girls that he's always trying to leg it. Every time
I hear
I see
it.
him, he says,
You hear it
he
now?
compared to me.
Yes, I do.
Compared to mine. Every time that I know that I am saying something fresh. Any category, I'm considered the best. And every time that I say it, there ain't nothing less. And everybody knows I will win the contest. And after that, came the educated rapper. His fingers start to
So I don't know if I'll get copyrighted, but y'all see it was very basic rap. Like I'm the best. It was very, very basic. But speaking of rap beef, there was some scholars that filed an amicus brief, and I also linked that in the description. So you guys can go into it. It defines diss tracks. You guys can go through the whole history
I
of
love it.
this
I
is
love this.
yeah, this brief is really, really, really robust, and it was written by these scholars: Karis Kubrin, Jack Lerner. Let me make it bigger. Let me put you on here. Um, They were non-parties in their expertise. Chris is a professor of criminology, law, and society at the University of California, Irvine. Jack was a professor of clinical law at the University of Colorado. Adam Dunbar is assistant professor of criminal justice. Kyle Winnan is a doctoral student in the Department of Criminology, and they collectively argue that rap lyrics are forms of artistic expression, not factual assertions, and warned the court against accepting a literal interpretation that could set a harmful precedent for the treatment of hip hop and artistic speech in legal settings.
Yeah.
So these guys, they basically they weren't parties to the case, but they're like, this could set precedents, which is what Miss Pam was saying. And this is who represented him, Chuck L. Lerner. He's a clinical professor of law with an expertise in copyright, privacy, technology, media, and law. And what he does is basically go into
intellectual property. That's important. He's a lawyer in intellectual property, freedom of expression. Absolutely. He's very. This brief was very, very needed because again, the way Drake went into that whole this whole lawsuit, he did it without context, trying to make it seem like this particular song, Not Like Us, was standing alone, and this song was defaming him, and not mentioning all the other songs within the rap beef that CJ just read off. And I'm so glad that somebody else came in and saw that.
They said she rapped them dudes too about Roxanne.
She did. And that's why they were upset. That's what, and I think, and again, because she was a woman, that's why everybody was like well, the guys in UTFO, that's why they were freaking out. Because they're like, wait a minute, hold up. We're not going to have her out rap me like this. And then they went back and forth and they went back and forth.
And so now we're getting into, so yes, make sure to check out that amicus brief in the link. It literally goes like deep down into what a rap battle is, definitions, insult verses, the different jabs that you can use, and then what the actual like what could be the downfall if you do approve this or whatever. It says it's dangerous to assume that rap lyrics should be taken literally because it opens the door to racial bias and prejudice in judicial proceedings, like we saw in that petition, where a lot of rappers rap about things. Like imagine if they started to go after like the Rick Rosses or whatever, like you're going to jail because you're rapping about the duffel bag and the all that stuff. It's like
right.
Yeah, it could literally gangster rap might be officially over if that's the case. So we're going to get into, as we finalize this, I know y'all been here sticking by me. Thank you very much. We're now at we did the legal beef. We've done the rap beefs. And now we're at meet the players. So this is who's in play for the lawsuit. All right. And if it goes to trial, this is important because like we saw in Diddy, knowing the lawyers and stuff, I did a stream with Ketchup Court, and we went through like who the lawyers were and what their specialties were. And it was really helpful when you were watching how they played out, like their different specialties and stuff, even though we couldn't watch it. I meant, through inner city press and all that stuff, but you could kind of tell like how the jury would react to these people based on like their past cases and stuff like that. I'm obsessed with the lawyer part too. And Camille Vasquez and Johnny Depp, even like Jose Baez with Aaron Hernandez. Like, I just love watching the lawyers and seeing like how they work. And even on paper, like the pen, you see how different people write,
Right.
So this is the lead. It's Michael.
He looks like he writes. The way he writes his stuff, he looks like that person. He looks like, I wouldn't be surprised if you find out that he's a romantic, one of those authors of romantic books.
Oh my gosh. At R.A. Jacobs, you guys go follow her. She's got a whole series and a case on her YouTube channel. It's at R.A. Jacobs of a lady who was a judge who had a case of like, I forget what the case was about, but she started writing books about the case, fiction books, like down to everything. So she would hear this case and every day she'd go home after the hearing or the trial, and write about it. And then it went to the New York Times bestseller list. It's a crazy case, and she never got consequences for it. It was just like, oh, well, whatever. Like, sure, it all is the same. But yeah, it's the craziest case, and it just shows how like you could just get away with that. But yeah, she literally just took this man's court case and turned it into a book for profit.
Wow.
And sitting judge. So yeah, that's funny that he would write books on the side and write the Drake story. There's so much blood. That
Wow.
part just got me. And it was so much blood. I'm like, I'm reading a case about defamation. Like, what does this have to do with
Mhm.
anything? So he's successfully led trials, appeals, and investigation on behalf of Fortune 50 and other major multinational companies. He's delivered exceptional results, including criminal and civil components that included the DOJ, the FTC, the SEC. So he's gone into some stuff. He's been recognized as Americans Lawyers 2023 Attorney of the Year. He was in Forbes as one of the top 200 lawyers. He was recognized as one of the rising stars by National Law Journal. So these are all his accolades, and he's experienced in let's see, where does it say? His multi-dimensional crisis involving multi-front disputes with intense media interest and government nexus is what his specialty is, complex litigation. And we know he's representing Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, as one of the other cases. And the whole firm, this is Wilkie Fars and Associates.
Mhm.
And they're all part of it. So this is Meryl Governsky. She is also in the Blake Lively trial. She's a member. She just became a member, so she's not on the website, but she does complex, high-risk commercial litigation. She served on multiple trial teams in federal and state courts and has worked on cases covering subject matters including First Amendment and breach of contract. So I'm sure they brought her in for the First Amendment stuff. And probably I don't know. No, he didn't claim breach of contract. So she's also working on the case. And then this is I don't know, because I'm like, is Gottlieb the lead attorney? Because Gottlieb is the one that signs most of the paperwork, but her name is the one that's in the docket. So she's just an associate, so maybe she just does the filings, but it's M. Annie Houghton. She's a
Mhm.
senior associate, and she practices in defamation litigation as well as complex commercial litigation, including litigation arising from mergers and acquisitions and security class actions. She also has experience in representing government investigations and enforcement actions, including actions brought by the SEC and the CFTC. And so she served in both civil and criminal trials. She's also active in pro bono and has done election law, defamation, and healthcare.
So that SEC and the securities and
Commodity.
okay.
Mhm. So, I mean, most of these people have worked in, like, I guess, government law and stuff too. So, that's Drake's, that's Drake's team right there. And
So
then
doesn't SEC doesn't don't isn't that the commission like when like CBS or somebody they do the Super Bowl and people are complaining? What is that agency that people will write complaints about what they saw on TV? Is that the SEC?
yeah, that's the FTC.
Okay.
Um, and they just got a lawsuit for the Taylor Swift Eras tickets that, like, this company was buying a bunch of them. I just reported on that this morning. The FTC sued them and said, like, y'all are racking up ticket prices, and so they're currently in a lawsuit, the FTC, against a company that bought up all the Taylor Swift Eras tour tickets and
Wow.
price
Well,
gouged.
that's because I was gonna say it should what it should be that they can't it should be one ticket, one sale, in my opinion. If you buy a ticket for a concert, you can't resell it. The only person that you can resell it to is the company that you bought it from.
But a lot of people make their bread and butter on ticket resales. You'd be surprised. They started early on doing ticket resales, and then
Right.
but yeah, I do, like, sometimes you're priced out. I know the Beyonce concert, a lot of people were priced out of it because they get eaten up right away. I say eaten, but you know what I mean. They
Yeah.
get scooped up.
Yeah. I know. And then it's like you go on the sites and then they're crashing. Because I went, who was I trying to buy tickets for? I think it was Anita Baker in Las Vegas one time. And I got on the site and like the seat and the ticket was I just say, like, let's say it was like $50. I was like, cool. But I didn't have dumb me. I didn't have my credit card there. So I ran to go get my credit card. I come back. The seats are gone. And so when I go back and I'm literally going to the seats that are 2 seats over on the side of it, the ones that I was going to get were 50 something. Now they're like $100 and some dollars. I'm like, wait a minute.
Mhm. And it happens so quick. You, like, go on, like, as soon as they hit the sale, and then you're in the queue, and then they're like, it's all sold out. And it's like, it can't be real people,
Right.
selling them all out. So this is Roland Ransom. I like his writing. He's he keeps it concise, 30 pages or less. And I liked his writing. He's the guy that's representing the lead in the UMG. He's an
UMG.
entertainment, sports and media, commercial litigation, and disputes IP litigation. He serves as co-leader of Sidley's global commercial litigation and disputes practice and an entertainment, sports, and media group. He's a managing partner of the Los Angeles office and also head of the Greater Los Angeles Litigation Group. He's represented both individuals and corporations and has extensive experience prosecuting and defending lawsuits involving a wide variety of intellectual property claims, including copyright against idea, trademark, false advertising, trade secrets, and unfair competition actions. Rolling's clients cover an array of industry, including media and entertainment, tech, and financial services. And he also regularly counsels clients outside of litigation on a variety of IP, advertising, and internet. So here's some of his flowers in 2024. Rolling's a top-notch litigation attorney. He offers wise advice, is very pragmatic, and understands clearly the pros and cons of the situation. He's exactly what you want in a lawyer. So he's won a bunch of awards, not recently. Oh, I think 2024 was the latest, but maybe the 2025 stuff hasn't come out. But you see all his awards here. I might link all these lawyers at the bottom because I feel like I need to just link almost all of this. So if anybody wants to go read it for themselves, it's kind of like a record in history of like, this is what happened. You know, here's all the docket. Here's the, so there's his experience there. So this is the main guy. But then you have the lawyers for UMG. This is Jeffrey Harleston, in general counsel of, he's the general counsel and executive vice president of business and legal affairs at UMG. And so he's responsible for the company's government relations, trade, and anti-piracy activities. And he's also co-founder of the UMG Task Force for Meaningful Change. This organization was formed in the summer of 2020 to identify, coordinate, and implement social initiatives specifically directed at the Black and Latino communities. So he's doing some philanthropy work there. Good for him, Jeffrey Harleston. During his 30-year career with UMG, Harleston has held a variety of senior executive positions, including the interim chairman of Def Jam, executive vice president for Geffen Records. He did legal affairs for MCA. Before joining UMG, Harleston was an associate independent counsel during the investigation and prosecution of the Iran-Contra scandal. He also worked as a litigation associate at the firm of Covington and Burling, and before law school was an account executive for Saatchi and Saatchi. He's been recognized for many of his achievements, including the Recording Academy's 2020 Entertainment Law Initiative Award, 2018. So nothing recent, but he got like 3 or 4 awards in the past 5 years. He graduated with a BA in political science and holds a JD from UC Berkeley School of Law. And they live in Los Angeles with his 4 children. So this is this is the other lawyer. And then we finally have, I'm not sure if he's involved or not, but he did come up on but I didn't see him in any filings, but it's David Kokakis. I don't know how to say the last name, but he's a chief counsel at Universal Music Group, where he's worked over a decade, and he sees the company's global digital initiatives, business development, contract negotiations. So I think he might have been brought in for the contract part.
Right.
And he also serves as chief counsel of digital rights management at UMG. His role is focused on joint business development between Universal's label group and publishing group. Prior to his work with Universal, David was a partner in a media company and managed business across many sectors. He's also practiced entertainment law for various years, including at firm Greenberg Torre, where he was the CEO of a media company that managed radio and music properties. And then last but not least, you have Mr. Michael Seltzer, who came on as executive vice president of business and legal affairs and head of commercial transactions in 2021. He oversees a team of 15 attorneys that help shape and negotiate the company's agreements, including recording contracts, label ventures, label distribution, merch, vendors, trademark entities, brand partners, film, TV, theatrical productions, and equity and asset acquisitions.
He's a 360 deal man.
Right?
He's the 360 deal attorney. You know, everybody talks about these 360 deals where the companies take a piece of everything you do. So when you started going over all that stuff, I was like, oh, he's the 360 deal guy.
And so now you have to think about, like, you know, what Drake took on. You're taking on UMG. They have 15 attorneys plus these two guys, versus
Right.
Gottlieb and his Stephen King writing. I mean, who's gonna outright? And I'm just so interested in Judge Vargas. I know she's working so hard on this response for the motion to dismiss, and she's an incredible speaker. As you saw, she's very like savvy and thinks of like really good questions. Like when she was going over that hearing, I didn't feel like she was on one side or the other. She was asking like legit questions, like, well, tell me about this, and was really curious to get to the depths of it. I have not seen any impartiality as far as any rulings or anything. I mean, given that she let Cujo get served by, you know, putting something on the neighbor's door, that's the only. But I mean, we've seen it in other cases where they've done it. But I'm interested in what she's going to write up, and the rebuttals against, you know, what the stuff, because usually when they write up their opinions, they'll be like, he stated this law, but in this law, da 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 da, da, you know. So I think it's taking her this long because she's being really thorough. So it says that we're really lucky to have an executive of Michael's background, experience, and expertise to provide us guidance, counsel, and leadership. So it says since 2016, he has served as senior vice president of business and legal affairs, for Def Jam, Island Records, and Republic Records, UMG's East Coast labels. So he's been around the block a couple times. He's been through most all their labels. He also held roles as COO of Chris Blackwell's Palm Pictures. So maybe he was in film. Yeah, he oversaw the film records, music publishing, distribution, and management business. So he's like, oh, right here, look, 360 deals. I was like, in 2000, he was at the forefront of signing artists to 360 deals. So he's a 360 lawyer that used to sign 360 deals, releasing
Oh
projects.
my gosh.
Cool. So because he had experience in film and music, and the first
Yeah.
ever full-length audiovisual album. I wonder who that was for. 2001. Because I always thought that the audiovisual was invented by Beyonce. That's the first time I saw it, like an album as a video. I don't remember seeing it prior to Beyonce. I wonder if that's who it was. I'll have to
I was
Google.
gonna say. I was gonna say about the judge. Isn't this her first? Because she was just nominated to judgeship. Was it under Biden? So is this her first big case?
I don't know. You know what? That's the only player that I didn't pull up. So let's pull her up next since we're done with that. Jeanette A. Vargas. This is her right here. She's an American lawyer who has served as United District since 2024. So yeah, she was just appointed. She previously served as assistant U.S. District Attorney in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. So she worked as an associate at Simpson Thacker and Bartlett from 2001 to 2002. She was the law clerk for Judge Sonia Sotomayor. That's a big name. So she clerked for her. And that's the thing that I just found out too this year. I kind of knew, but like this year I kind of, I guess, like revisit it, is that the law clerks are the ones who mostly read all these filings because they have all the cases,
Right.
and they like update the judge. And so whenever I see these Blake Baldoni filings, I'm like, oh my God, should I go like into becoming a law clerk? Because like all the tea that you must get, like it seems
Exactly.
fun. Maybe not quite when you're reading like a bunch a day, but I just imagine like sometimes I think like the judge will be like, no, I don't want to grant this because I want more tea, you know, like let's see what the other response is, like let me wait. But I'm sure they're very professional. They're judges, but you know, obviously for entertainment purposes, I like to imagine the clerk and the judge just, you know, chopping it up and laughing like, oh my God, like the tea.
You know, and they're human. You know they are, but they get to do it in the confines of the court judge's quarters. But I know I'll be back there. I can't believe he said this. I can't believe he said that.
He cited this case, and you know, like being legal nerds too. Later that day, so she was confirmed by President Joe Biden. So you're right. See, this is why I have you on my show, because you know your stuff. In response to a February 2025 lawsuit filed by Attorney General Letitia James of New York, Vargas issued an injunction prohibiting Doge from access to Treasury systems. So that's one of her big rulings, was the Doge ruling. Judge Vargas acknowledged that their preliminary injunction had been ordered in part because of what the court identified as issues with the Treasury's hasty implementation and gaps in training for the Doge team members. However, based on existing record, Judge Vargas wrote that the mitigation, training, and vetting procedures that the government has detailed in its filings are adequate to satisfy her concerns. So that's been her only like big ruling, her notable ruling. And
Yeah.
now this is Drake and Universal, so this is gonna, make or break her, I guess,
Right.
depending on which side you're on. So that could
Right.
also be a lot of pressure, and that's why, a lot of lawyers, or even defendants will argue, like, when things will set precedents, like, this is what's going to happen on a larger scale. Right now, you have Perez Hilton fighting against that subpoena with Blake Lively because they're saying he's not a journalist and they want his sources, right? But obviously, he is a journalist because, gossip bloggers are journalists. Like, they try to go, like, with it's Michael Gottlieb with his pen. I don't even know what the filing said, but it might not have been Gottlieb. It might have been one of her other lawyers, but literally we're like, he's not a journalist. And I'm like, and then they cited like all the articles he wrote. Like, he wrote this article about her and this article. And I'm like, that just shows he's a journalist if he's writing articles for a blog. Like, a blogger is a
He
journalist.
had, yeah, he's a journalist. He had a whole blog site. I mean, written, I don't think he owns it anymore,
Yeah,
but
no, he
he
has
had,
it. Yeah, he still has it. He still has the blog, but
okay,
he's moved into content creation, like YouTube and stuff like that. So he's gotten with the times. But
okay.
yeah, they're basically trying to say that. And he wrote to the Las Vegas judge, like, look, whatever you rule on the subpoena is going to change the way that, like, journalists have to report. Like, this is protection for the journalist. Like, if you start to become, like, a definition of a journalist is only a professional who works for MSM, then you set precedents to where independent journalists can't function, gossip columnists can't function,
Right.
all that stuff. So yeah, back to the point of, like, a lot of these rulings from judges can set precedents that is wider, like a wider net.
That's that's why this case is so, I'm following it, and because this whole thing can set precedents again on how people's artistic expression. And if somebody is saying something, or even if they're just making, they're not even mentioning names, they're just talking about person, places, or events that happen, but it happened to them, but they're not mentioning any names. And then you'll have a whole people suing. I didn't want it to be publicly known. Everyone who was in that situation knew it was me. It's just setting up so much stuff. It's setting
Mhm.
up too much stuff that I don't like. So, but she is, I would have honestly thought that she would have had a ruling
It takes a long
by
time to
now.
write them up because they got to, like, cross-reference law and stuff. So it does take a while to write it up. Because I remember in the Blake Lively when they dismissed Baldoni's, everyone's like, how did this happen? And it's like, did this come into play? Did this come into play when, he was writing it? But a lot of people assume that, like, no, this was written weeks ago. And then now it's basically being filed because it's taken him a couple weeks to write it all up. Because
So
some people
let
are
me let me ask a quick question, because like I said, so they dismissed his portion of the case. Did they drop him with the
defamation and
new?
all that stuff. Yep.
Okay, so they dropped everything that he put
Mhm.
up.
So right now he's
Okay,
just on the defense. He's just on the defense. Ryan Reynolds
gotcha.
isn't in there, and her PR publicist isn't in it anymore. Even though they're still putting Ryan Reynolds in the stuff. And we have a little Easter egg with Ryan real quick, but I wanted to really quick touch base on this last thing, defamation. They're gonna have a hard time proving defamation because Drake secretly has now dropped a warehouse of merch on Amazon. Shop the collection here. So if he's making deals with Amazon, was he really defamed? If he's still getting these, I don't know, probably
I hadn't heard.
millions or thousands of dollars in partnerships with Amazon.
He's
Um,
not lost anything if he's on. I mean, he's still making money. He's still on Stake and Kick. He's still touring.
I mean, that's what I'm
He's
saying. Like,
done two. He's done two tours, and the tours stopped because he stopped them. I don't know if it was low sales or not, but he still was able to start up two tours. He's selling merch on Amazon. He's done a contract with, was it Kit? What's the new streaming service?
yeah,
Because he's a streamer now, and he still has his deal with Stack, if I'm not mistaken, the gambling site.
so I don't know how they're going to prove defamation, like, damages is what I'm saying, not defamation. But so sorry, I misspoke. I meant damages. How are they going to prove damages from the defamation? Because it doesn't seem like he launched a viral YouTube live stream series. He teamed up with Central C on the Summer Bop. Which one? He dropped What Did I Miss? He's touring in Europe. And then he's about to release Iceman. So I don't know, like where's the damages for this? And look, I saw a teddy bear. So this body pillow is $100, and I saw a teddy bear, a tiny little stuffy plush. Let me see if it's here. Tiny little plush for $50. Here it is. Official for all the dogs plush. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know if I'd spend $50 on that plush. Maybe
See,
inflation or
that's the certified lover boy album cover. Album post, yeah.
and it's $35. I don't know. Am I just like not with the times? Is this what like pricing for merch is? I don't know. I'm like, this stuff looks expensive, like for a poster.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just
Look, go to the next one. It's got the poop bags for your dog right up under the.
for
You get a set of
$25.
6 for $25. 6, come on now.
It's what, like $4 a bag? Oh my gosh, you can get like a 3-pack for like $5 that has like
Yeah, but
Uh,
just because it has his little logo for all the dogs, poop bag logo,
So here's the final Easter egg. Go ahead.
and people will buy it. And that's the thing. People will buy that stuff. Well, I don't know.
I
And
feel
then
like
he had,
he's outselling in Europe. You see the stadium's full. I mean, it's not like with the Beyonce tour where you saw it wasn't like that full for some
Right.
concerts and stuff. And so she's kind of hurting, given that she made a different kind of album or whatever. I mean, I feel like she still had support, but you see the fan made videos of like, look, the stadium's empty or whatever. And Drake's, you still see all the screaming girls. I've actually seen Drake. Full disclosure, I've seen Drake 3 times. I've seen Drake 6 times. So I'm a bigger Kendrick fan than Drake. But I've seen them both at festivals, and I can tell you that Kendrick is a way better festival performer than Drake. And don't ever go see Drake in a closed place, because with the screaming girls, I mean, I went to Backstreet Boys and there was screaming girls, and nothing can prepare you for the screams in a Drake concert. It's your ears
too much.
are like, yeah. At the festivals where I saw him, it was better because it's outdoors, so like the sound doesn't carry as much. But when
Right.
you're indoors, and I went to the concert where Jenny Aiko came out with him, and you
Mhm.
think like, okay, these girls were going wild for Drake. The moment Jenny came out, it was like 10 times louder. These girls just went wild. It was crazy. But really quick as we wrap up, because we're already going on 3 hours, but we're for real wrapping up here. Wealth Simple valued at $5 billion now that Drake and Ryan Reynolds invested. So this is the little Easter egg how they're connected. Not only through Michael Gottlieb, who's Blake's lawyer, but on May 4th, 2021, it was put out that Wealth Simple landed the largest private tech investment in Canadian history, with Meritech and Greylock leading a $750 million investment round. The massive round gives Wealth Simple a valuation of $5 billion. The round included a number of best-in-class investors, as well as Canadian actors Ryan Reynolds and Michael J. Fox, athletes Kelly Olynyk, Dwight Powell, and Patrick Marleau, and Degrassi's. I love how they say Degrassi's Drake. It wasn't even like rapper Drake, Degrassi's Drake. Wealthsimple was launched 7 years ago with a mission to use technology to revolutionize the financial industry so every Canadian could achieve financial freedom, no matter who they are and how much money they have. And so that's a little Easter egg that I found. And also back to me watching them perform at Kendrick concerts. Like there was like a grandma that was like 60 years old. Like it was so crazy, like the range of people who go and watch Kendrick. With Drake, it's mostly females, but with Kendrick, it's like you look around and like the least suspected, like you got everything from like cholos, like the gangster, like Latino cholos, to like a grandma literally next to me knowing every single lyric. Like that song, F a bitch, love, money, and power. That song, like one of his old ones.
Mhm.
Yeah, there was a grandma literally rapping it behind me, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
You know what's interesting about Kendrick to me is he has like you say, like a wide range of fans, but it's his Bengali effect on toddlers. Have you ever watched videos and toddlers listening to his song?
Uh-uh.
Oh, it is amazing. And I mean, it's just, and I don't know if it's because his stature is short and they think that he's one of them or something, but I mean, just to hear a Kendrick song and to see a little 2-year-old, 1.5-year-old just rocking out. Just like we were at a concert, the little 1-year-old, 2-year-old, they just rock out to Kendrick. It's amazing to see.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Some people don't even pay attention to the lyrics. It's just the beats. I feel that's the same to Cardi too. A lot of her songs, like the lyrics are so inappropriate, but everybody just likes the beats. Skinnell
Yeah.
Sam, thank you for stopping by and hanging out with us tonight. And yes, I agree with this comment here. People who don't love rap, hip hop, Black culture don't understand what this genre represents for Black culture. There's stories. It's not just violence. Those who pay attention understand the story. And Christina follows that up with music is so important, which I agree. And I hope that's what we can take from this. Now that you guys know a little bit more of the history of rap beef, this isn't the first time it happened. Imagine if Roxanne sued. Imagine if she sued. You know, it'd be a whole different story. Whole different story. So hurt feelings. It's funny because Michael Gottlieb was representing Ryan Reynolds when he was in the lawsuit before Baldonie's lawsuit got dismissed, and he's like, you can't sue for hurt feelings. Like, you know, they were trying to say that Nice Pool in the Deadpool movie was Justin Baldoni and it was defamation, right? And they're like, Michael Gottlieb wrote this. You can't sue for hurt feelings. And for a while in our community, we're like, oh, but yet he's representing Drake. Like, shouldn't it be the same thing? Drake can't sue for hurt feelings. Like, so it was pretty crazy. Y'all go support Miss Pam. I got it linked at the bottom. This is her YouTube channel, Pam Entertainment TV. You see she's got a bunch of cool videos, Jonathan Majors and Megan Majors. I forgot they're married already. I was like, wait, Megan Majors? Yep. That's how I met Miss Pam, was through the Jonathan Majors case. I started following her and I became a big fan of her work. And so, yeah, she's got the DDG and Haley. I'm going to cover that. I'm going to ask my followers if they want me to cover like divorce and custody celebrity battles, because I've kind of been staying away from that, but there's some spicy ones. Scott Wolf is divorcing his wife, and she's, I don't know, they're both she's accusing him of DV, I think, and then he's accusing her of being.
Oh my.
So that one's kind of a spicy one. And DDG is one that I've been following because that's also like plot twist after plot twist. It's like it goes back and forth. And that's another one I flip flop on. She's got a ton on Drake. So y'all, if y'all want like good coverage on Drake, because, you know, I'm not going to cover, you know, Drake a lot unless there's like big updates or whatever. But Miss Pam covers Drake. What else? Let me see what you got in your lives over here. We can give them a little sneak peek. Tyla, so she does pop culture and legal. She does morning shows sometimes. She'll do late night shows as well. She does Marvel. She was covering the Diddy case. So lots and lots for y'all. Like if you like pop culture, if you like legal stuff, she goes into everything. So make sure to go support her. And then she also has her X account. Do I not have your X account up? I thought I did. Let me pull that up real quick, Miss Pam, so they can go. And that's also linked in the description. Here's her X account, and you can actually watch her shows on X here. And I think I'm going to start dual streaming now that I know like how to do it and stuff. So I can get my videos in the morning on X too, because this is really cool. Sometimes I'll just watch her on X. Because I'm on X already, and so it's just easier, and you can watch it like in your phone. It'll just, you know, pull it down. But yeah, so here's her her X. Go give her a follow there, and thank you, Miss Pam. Any last words? Any words of wisdom?
No more words of wisdom. I'm just interested in waiting on the judge to see what she's going to say. She sounded hopeful, like she was going to dismiss it. But I have a sneaky suspicion that this is a case that she wants to get over and get her bones on. So we may go to court on this. And either way, I'm going to cover it. And I'm interested, like I said, if they go to court, I think that I am going to have to make me a trip to New York to be in the courtroom to hear what's really going on. Because I want to see Kendrick Lamar walk through the door. Like Kid Cudi walked through the door and everybody was shocked about him going through the door. I want to be shocked to see Kendrick walk through the door and say Drake, I hear you want me in court. I don't know. I'm being silly now. I'm sleepy now. I'm getting silly. I thank y'all so much, and thank you for those of you that are following me. I've got a video coming out about the, and it's I still got to figure out what's going on because I do just snippets of conspiracy thing, my little segments of is it me? And the only thing that I'm doing out right now, I'm concerned about these rabbits and deers with all of these horns and things coming onto them and stuff like that. I have a little conspiracy theory about that I'm going to do just a
Ooh, I'm
small little
super for
video on.
that. I've seen it. I've seen it on X, like just the postings, and sometimes it's posts that aren't like that reliable, and that I still follow just because I like this conspiracy heads. Like I know that they'll post like some crazy like there's a UFO in New Orleans or something, and I'm like I know that your account isn't very reliable, but that
Right.
one I did find compelling because at first I thought it was AI pictures, and then once I
Hmm.
realized they were real pictures, I was like, so I'm interested to see what your thoughts are on that. So I'll sure be. Oh, Star
Yeah.
Child. Yeah, that's scary. Poor rabbits. Whew.
Yeah, I have a theory about that. I have and and I'm not gonna say it because I want y'all to come to
Uh,
watch it, but it's
oh,
not gonna be long. But it's just
right.
I've got a couple of theories on that, and it's just like anyway,
Yeah.
anyway.
Go
But
support them.
thank you so much for having me, and thank you all so
Yes,
much
we
for
can make them collab again because I love this collaboration. We just sit and talk, and we went over a lot of stuff. Yes, it was a 3-hour show, but now y'all are all caught up. Now y'all can't say you don't know the facts. Now y'all can't say that you're not, privy to what's going on in the Drake versus UMG. So I hope y'all have a
right.
good night. I am taking a break for the rest of the weekend. I'll be back on my morning show at 9 a.m. And Miss Pam, if you're ever up that early and you want to join me before your morning show, or if you're gonna do, I don't know, do you usually come on at 9 or 10? I can
I
send people.
usually I usually come on because I try to do my celebrity legal news show on Mondays, and I'm usually on about 9 ish, 9 or 10 o'clock, just depending. Sometimes I do 8 o'clock, just depending on what I have to do for that day. So it's usually between 9 and 10. It's 9 and 10 o'clock.
So that's good because my show's only an hour and I do it between 8 and 9, so I can send people over. Because then
Okay.
we have Ashley Brianna Eve. She normally starts around 10:30. So then we can recommend those two shows so that way we can go into your chat and still keep on going with the legal news. And you're always invited to my show. It's Monday
Thank
through
you.
Thursday, 8 a.m. I'll send you the link that you can just have if you ever want to pop in or whatever. I'm trying to keep them under an hour, so I said no guests, but maybe once in a while we can make an exception because a lot of my followers were like, "The show's too long," and I'm like, "It's hard when you have a guest to keep it under an hour." Like, so far
Right.
it's doing good. It's been 45 minutes, but that's why I'm like, we can make an exception sometimes. Like this one, I was like, I'm gonna keep it under an hour, and I'm like, there's no way. Miss Pam's report is only one document. Like, it's a deep dive. That's why these are the docket deep dives. My next one is going to be on the Kevin Costner case. Have you been following that one?
No, I haven't been following Kevin Costner. What's going?
Yeah, it's an SH lawsuit. It's kind of similar to the Blake Lively stuff
Hmm.
where she's like saying she got SH'd, but it's a little sussy. So I'm gonna be doing a deep
Hmm.
dive to the docket for
Well, I'm
that.
gonna tune in.
Yep. All right, guys. Have a good night. Everybody have a good weekend. We appreciate y'all. See y'all soon.
Let us see.
Good night. I don't know why it's not ending.